Big Brother, mainstream media, government cover-ups. You want answers? Well, so does he. He's Alex Jones on the GCN Radio Network. And now, live from Austin, Texas, Alex Jones.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining us on this 28th day of May, 2014, on this Wednesday edition. We've got Paul Joseph Watson from Copenhagen, Denmark, with big breaking news on the global elite meeting to continue to plan our future and steal our collective destinies. He's going to be joining us at T-minus 30 minutes. We've got David Knight, who's now in country as well. They're reporting. He'll be joining us for 30 minutes at the start of the third hour. And Dr. Edward Group, one of my favorite guests, is going to be in studio on a host of issues in the second hour today. Dr. Steve Pieczenik, who co-wrote a bunch of books with Tom Clancy and was the head of psychological operations for the State Department and who did head up the Camp David Accords and a lot more, who did break down how bin Laden was dead back in 2002. They had his body frozen to be rolled out later. He's been proven right on a lot of stuff. We have the tape where he said back in this February that Snowden is actually a spy, CIA, NSA, and that he was not just an analyst or not just a tech guy. Now Snowden's come out and said that. So we will definitely play that clip from when he said it earlier this year, and I want to get him back on it, maybe tomorrow, maybe Friday, maybe the Sunday show. We'll see what happens with Dr. Steve Pieczenik. And Pieczenik's also saying that it's a false flag out in California, out in Santa Barbara. And he's a medical doctor and a psychiatrist. And he's saying it's a staged event. They're blaming all white males right now, even though this guy wasn't even, quote, pure white. And even though he targeted, quote, blonde women. It should be blonde women targeted in racial attack. But somehow it's probably blonde women's fault at the end of the day here. So we're going to be looking at that coming up. And we're also going to get into, as I said, Bilderberg, more on that. We have video up on Infowars.com and PrisonPlanet.com. Reporters arrested as cloak of secrecy descends. Paul Watson was there to witness it happening. And I told Watson, I said, they're not going after you because you look like you're Danish. You look like a Northern European. You know, 6'3", 6'4", high cheekbones, wearing a sports jacket. I guaranteed, folks, when other reporters from the U.S. showed up, you know, with beards and stuff, I mean, it was arrest time. Paul could have just absolutely probably even stayed in there till they closed it. But that went on. It's all profiling. And we've now got David Knight in there. And we've also got Josh Owens there and someone else. We always like to have a little ace in the hole, a little secret that nobody knows. So we've got other operatives of the info war. They're on the ground. And it should be interesting and, as I said, quite informative today. The poet Maya Angelou is dead at 86. Goldman president warns trading environment abnormal. Well, you have the high-frequency trading scam. I mean, what do you mean? I mean, it's not your abnormal scam? Also, new fund stars write junk bonds at the top. Oh, yeah, the derivative scandal's bigger than it's ever been. Google has self-driving cars that has no steering wheel or brakes. That's all up on DrudgeReport.com. We'll tell you what's on Infowars.com when we come back. FBI agent says synthetic biology could reduce our population and more. I'm Alex Jones, coming to you from deep in the heart of FEMA Region 6, formerly Texas. We are live, ladies and gentlemen, on this Wednesday, the 28th day already of May 2014. Paul Watson joins us from Copenhagen, Denmark at the bottom of the hour to break down big developments there with Bilderberg Group and really the future destiny of our world being continued to be steered. We also are going to have David Knight and Josh Owens pop in as well later in the transmission. There is so much dealing with the stock market, with Edward Snowden, with so many other issues that we're going to be breaking down in great detail today. But first off, I had arguments with Kurt Nimmo and with Steve Pieczenik separately, friendly arguments, when they were both saying they thought Snowden was some type of globalist double agent operative to actually roll out limited hangout, only some of the NSA spying, because it could no longer be covered up anymore. And Pieczenik said this last year. He said it in February of this year on this show. We have a clip of that we're going to play later. Well, now Snowden comes out and says, I'm a real spy on a low level. I work for the CIA and the NSA. If he... Now, that isn't an admission that he's a double agent working to sell NSA spying, because he's been critical of it. And he's been critical of Putin. Maybe he's just saying, hey, you guys know that I was more than just a administrative technical person who had access to a bunch of data. I'm more than that. There's a lot of different corporate interests, though, that are transnational and are more entrenched than even just one nation against another. It's very cloak and dagger. I don't know. Pieczenik says that it's a coming out operation for the NSA and that Snowden works for the NSA. And this is them preparing to bring him back to the U.S. so he can now be the leader of the anti-surveillance movement and then betray it. And at that point, it just gets so cloak and dagger, it gives me a headache. But Pieczenik did say that, and now much of it's come true. And Nimmo has been very suspicious of him and written articles showing a bunch of connections to where they leaked the info and how they leaked it to the NSA, the British intelligence as well, and the CIA. And I told Kurt, I said, look, you can write these articles, because I don't get involved a lot with what my writers write. I mean, I know they're already smart guys that care about freedom. We all differ a little bit on our views. That's normal. I don't run a Kim Jong-un police state around here. But I think things are shifting more towards the Kurt Nimmo, Steve Pieczenik camp right now. And it gives me a headache. Trying to see all the angles here. I guess Nimmo's probably right, though. You go off how he leaked it, who he did it through, how the telecoms want to actually cut the NSA out of controlling the architecture they built that has far surpassed the NSA. And I think therein lies the area that Snowden may work if he is a triple or double agent for a deeply aligned movement of corporations where they want to control the opposition. But that itself could be a way to cause a distraction and infighting and a diversion, and then change the story off of the NSA spying and the surveillance ubiquitous Big Brother grid onto Snowden, and is he a globalist agent? But I think in this age of paranoia and this age of deceit and this age of betrayal, I think it's to be expected that people don't trust anyone. That's why you've got to have a long track record, and you've got to see consistently where people stand. I know the Russians really tried to get rid of Snowden. They didn't want him there. And no one would take him anywhere else. They couldn't get rid of him. And now they've basically just parked him working at a website, the Russians have. So now the media is kind of acting like maybe Snowden's not so bad, bring him back. I think time will tell. I think time will tell. I want to play a report that we shot last Friday before David Knight left town that we're going to premiere here, that they just finished yesterday, that deals with the history of Bilderberg in just 4 short minutes to kind of re-prime folks for why Bilderberg's so important and why we're covering it. It's not the apex of the world government. It's not the paramount of the world government. It's one of the unsubmerged tips of an iceberg showing larger structures under it. And it's a major window into how the world really works and into globalization and the technocratic age that Brzezinski wrote about. So it's an entrance into Mordor, something they denied ever existed. So, ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, let's go ahead and go to this piece, The Bilderberg Overlords, with David Knight, put together by Darren McBrain.
Last week, elections in the UK saw a huge defection from Conservative and Labour parties. UKIP, a party opposed to the European Union, surged from just 2 seats to more than 150 seats. Now, of course, the mainstream media glibly dismissed them as, wait for it, racists. But actually, they're just opposed to globalist control. And that doesn't make them xenophobes or racists. Now, one mainstream media, The Economist, got it right. They said throughout Europe, broadly anti-EU parties are rising as an indictment of the European Union, a project that millions of voters have come to associate with hardship and failure. They said this is an issue of democracy, not of economics. Voters are not impressed when they toss out an incumbent government, only to be told by the EU that its replacement must stick to the same fiscal rules and economic policies. And we've seen that happen in Greece and in Italy, where an Italian member of the European Parliament, Borghesio, pointed out Mario Monti, and he's the Goldman Sachs banker who replaced a democratically elected prime minister, and Italian Minister Letta are members of Bilderberg, and Renzi, the current prime minister, is their puppet. That's right, Bilderberg. It's not just where European political puppets go to get their job, but it's also where American presidential hopefuls go to audition for their job.
Bilderberg always insist on a media blackout. By June of 2008, we had already figured out that Barack Obama was the elite's puppet of choice. The national media claimed that during the weekend the Bilderberg group was scheduled to meet, that Obama had speaking engagements set for Chicago and the Midwest. We knew better. In a classic bait and switch, the Obama campaign told the press corps to get on Obama's campaign plane and that Obama would join them on the flight to Chicago. Campaign staff then slammed the door shut. The fawning press had been shanghaied as Obama's campaign aircraft lifted off without Obama. The Bilderberg Group sits at the top of the world power structure. 125 of the richest and most influential individuals on the globe make up its membership.
But the European Union itself, as well as the unified currency of the euro, were planned in the 1950s at Bilderberg, as the chairman of Bilderberg, Davignon, bragged about in 2009. That's why the Italian MEP Borghesio called Bilderberg the root of all evil. And other prominent Italians have called for a criminal investigation of Bilderberg. Well, as bad as the EU has been for Europe, Bilderberg has plans for America as well. That's what TAFTA, the Transatlantic Free Trade Agreement, as well as TPP, the Trans-Pacific Partnership, will do to America. Now, one will unite us to Europe, the other will unite us to Asia. Both of them will destroy our economy as well as our sovereignty, putting us under the rule of globalist corporations and bankers. But of course, the mainstream media has for decades pretended that Bilderberg doesn't even exist. They've ridiculed Jim Tucker, Daniel Estulin, Alex Jones, and others who reported on Bilderberg. Even last year, Alex Jones was ridiculed as an idiot and a conspiracy theorist on the BBC for his coverage of last year's Bilderberg meeting in the UK. There may be a conspiracy, but it's not a theory. As Paul Joseph Watson reported just last week, a Berlin-based magazine, Cicero, quoted a Bilderberg member as saying, "Those sentences which really matter are being spoken at Bilderberg. You learn an incredible amount. Davos, in comparison, is pure PR talk." Now, of course, the mainstream media will be all over the economic summit at Davos, but the question is, will they even show up to the Bilderberg meeting? We want to bring them out of the shadows. We want to shine the light on them. That's why when they meet this week in Copenhagen, the InfoWars team will be there. Paul Joseph Watson, Josh Owens, and I will be giving you coverage there. Join us. Help us bring this into the light and expose what's being done in secret as the most powerful politicians and corporate leaders meet to plan a global agenda.
Great job, David Knight and crew. We're doing something epic here together, folks. We're exposing that it isn't foreign governments trying to take us over. It's foreign corporate conglomerates that have already taken us over. Once everybody knows that, politically, they're done. That's why they've tried to deny this forever, because it will be the end of them. We will win. We'll be right back, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Alex Jones. Paul Watson's coming up in the next segment to talk about Bilderberg. I'm going to get his take on Snowden as well. We have that clip in February of Pachenik saying that Snowden's an operative. I didn't really shut him down, but I just, at that point, I just didn't see proof. And now Snowden's come out saying he was really an operative of the CIA and NSA, and that he's a patriot, and everything he did was, quote, for America. That has like a double meaning. So we're going to get Pachenik on to break that down. I'm not throwing Snowden under the bus right now, or The Guardian, or any of these groups, but he's saying it's a false flag. Pachenik is as well out in Santa Barbara. You know, it's hard to say a little skinny nerd could kill 3 people with a knife without them being able to fight back. But, I mean, have you ever seen a mentally ill person, how hard it is to control them? I don't know. I just know white people are being blamed for this. He targeted the most white of white, so it's white people's fault. I mean, it just... I slipped on a banana pill last week, and did you know it was because of white people? I want to go to this clip. This full video is up on Infowars.com. Reporters arrested as cloak of secrecy begins. Agenda for Bilderberg confab illustrates global elite in a panic. And one of our great writers here should do a whole story on Daniel Estulin yesterday and the fact that in 2006, he said Bilderberg was going to implode the housing market in 2008. Indeed, that happened from his sources. I happen to know who one of his sources is. In fact, the only reason I can talk about it is some of it actually came out in the newspaper years after that. I'm not even going to say it. You know what? Even though it's public and hiding in plain view, I'm not going to say who the source is. The point is, Estulin has real sources. And he gave 9 points yesterday to the real agenda. That's the real agenda that was sent weeks ago to one of the members who doesn't like the agenda. So they're not all bad in there. A lot of them are there because they're at the top of their field. And again, they're all key managers off for other sectors and other combines. And it is a consensus, but they're already in the consensus because they were already in another consensus. Then they just have fine-tuning of the consensus. And again, they didn't want this to be known that it existed. It's over for the system. I know I keep saying this because it's so important. It's like having the plans of the Death Star, folks. If you have the plans, you can blow it up politically. That it's an illegitimate corporate takeover that seeks to end free market, end the family, end humanity as we know it, in a technological, technocratic takeover for a tiny elite. It's bad for 99.999999999. We've done the math before. There's 6,000 superclass in the Kissinger Group's own analysis, which I agree with. 6,000 super gophers, less than 20 families that own pretty much everything. So a few hundred people that own it, 6,000 that serve them, 6,000 people in the super control class. You divide that into 7,300,000,000. It's 0.000000023, I think. So when they say it's the 1%'s the enemy, no, the globalists are going after the 1% because they're of the middle class wealth. Some guy that makes $1 million a year, folks, is in the 1%. You ought to be kissing their booty. They are the ones that buy the sports cars and come to your restaurant and get their hair done, and their wife divorces them, and the lawyers get the money, and their kids go to private school. They are the economy. The globalists have said this. You get rid of the nouveau riche, upper end of the middle class, the new rich, you shut down most of the economy. And you shut down the ladders up. How many of you out there work for somebody who's nouveau riche, wealthy, has a big house, nice cars, and you charge them a bunch of money to do stuff on their house and do things, and I mean, how would you do if they were gone? Well, there you go. You'd be in a third world country. Let's go to the clip of the arrest going on there at the hotel.
You cannot touch my camera, and you cannot touch me. If you touch me, I will press charges on you.
Dan Dix, Luke Rudowski,
walk out this door.
Paul Watson.
You ask me not to do
They're
something.
filming.
I respect your wishes. You touch me, that's assault.
Ask you first to delete.
You could ask me anything you want. You could ask me to go to the moon. Doesn't mean I can get to the moon.
Something else. Don't go discussion in another this direction, please.
It's fine.
Just
Listen,
check everything what you
we're
have.
walking out of here. We wish to leave your premises immediately. We haven't done anything wrong. We're in a public common area. We use your business, and you cannot take my private property away.
This is something
that this is my equipment. This is my video footage. You are very nice.
I'm
Thank
not
you. I
touching
appreciate
your
it.
camera. I'm not touching
What's
you.
your name? My name's
It's
Luke.
right here on the name tag, yes? Okay,
What's your first
All
name?
right, this goes on for like 10 minutes. Full video up at Infowars.com. We're taking you live to Copenhagen in Europe, straight ahead, where Paul Joseph Watson will join us from the shadowy Bilderberg group. There are some rivetingly interesting, intriguing articles up on Infowars.com and PrisonPlanet.com. FBI agent synthetic biology could reduce our population. I want to be breaking that down. Snowden is a national security state asset, Kurt Nemo. And I have to say, Kurt's instincts are starting to look like they may be correct, with Snowden basically admitting as much. Bilderberg 2014, reporters arrested as cloak of secrecy descends. There's no footage of the actual arrest because Watson, who shot most of it, was able to creep off. We have him on the line. They seized Rudowski's camera and drug him off. Continuing, InfoWars reports on site. There's video of that. Atlanta Mayor Reed to participate in an annual Bilderberg meeting. They usually have a mayor of a prominent city there to push globalization because they can get mayors to do in-runs around state and federal government. Look at Austin, that's a model UN city. And we've also got an overview of our overlords, Bilderberg 2014, that video report we just premiered here on the radio. It's now up on Infowars.com if you'd like to see it as a radio listener. We have the Bilderberg official agenda that's now been released. We have VA cops stomped on veteran's head, killing him, and more whistleblower news on that front. And a lot of other important news up on Infowars.com and PrisonPlanet.com. Also, trouble adjusting to sexual assault may be getting people booted out of the military. You know, it's funny that whenever something corrupt's going on in the system, that's okay. But then if someone even claims that, out in quote, civilian life, you're going to jail for a very long time. I tell you, the government is just so abusive across the board. There's a culture of just getting away with all sorts of hardcore abuse. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, the Bilderberg meeting officially kicks off tomorrow in Copenhagen, Denmark. It meets every year, 3 years in a row in Europe, and then every 4th year in the United States, generally in Virginia. And because they've got a special relationship with the head of Marriott, it's generally at a Marriott 5-star resort surrounded on multiple sides by water. And that's what they've done in the government district of the capital of Denmark, Copenhagen. They have done that yet again. We got the list. We're able to publish it yesterday. DrudgeReport.com carried it. And we're still not seeing any mainstream U.S. media covering it. We are seeing London Guardian covered it. We are seeing some German and other papers covering it, but no U.S. media covering it. Joining us to describe the arrest he witnessed yesterday and the fence they've put up, and they've now shut the hotel down, throwing people out that had reservations right through to today, including Paul Watson, is our own Paul Watson. Then our other reporters that haven't yet been thrown out by security, which is under common law, and we've checked the EU law, they'll be able to be told to get off before they get arrested. So we'll have David Knight and Josh Owens try to go in later today via live video and audio feeds. We'll see if they can get a live Skype feed there on the ground. That's coming up in about an hour. But Paul Watson, a lot is unfolding. A lot is going on. We also have Estelin with a major source breaking down their real agenda that I know dovetails with your intel. You join us via video Skype from your nearby hotel. Break down what you've seen at Bilderberg 2014 as it prepares to officially kick off tomorrow as the kleptocrats begin arriving.
Hi, Alex. Yeah, if you want to pick up from last night, which is when I was last on the show, basically we gathered in the lobby just about an hour after I got off your show, probably. And there are obviously more Bilderberg organisers milling around. There was a plan to go to dinner and kind of earwig on some of them, but mainly they're speaking in Dutch. And so while we were there, obviously we were checked in. That all went smoothly. I checked into the room. We were due to stay there that night. Luke Radowski and Dan Dix were also there, obviously, and they decided to go ahead and confront the Bilderberg organisers straight up. So they just walked up to them with the camera, started asking them questions about Bilderberg. At first, they pretended not to know anything about it. Then it became obvious that they did, and the security was called within about 2 minutes. And the issue was they demanded we delete every photo or video that we'd already taken, which is pretty stupid in the days of live streaming and instant uploads to Twitter. So they went around demanding we all delete our footage. Obviously, my plan was to stay in the hotel and gather some intel, so I didn't want to get kicked out.
Yeah, that was a great plan, but that's not going to happen now. Please continue.
So, obviously, Luke and Dan refused to delete their footage. They said, we just want to leave. We're leaving the hotel. Started to walk out the door. We all basically got out of the hotel, but Dan was still in there. They grabbed him by the arm. They physically restrained him. At that point, we left. Luke was still there with Dan, and they called the police and ended up being arrested for, initially they said they had drugs on them, which was completely made up. And then they said they were just acting suspiciously, so they arrested them, and I think they were released within a couple of hours afterwards. But again, it just illustrates the complete paranoia surrounding the site, which is, you know, even worse than it was last year in Watford, basically, where they didn't even let us in. They let us in this time, but the security there is even more intense.
Well, let's get technical. We were in there 3 days before it even started and went in to get dinner. And they all surround us and go, Mr. Jones, you've got to leave. And I said, I'm a guest. I hadn't checked in yet. I wanted to snoop around before I even let them throw me out. And remember, we just kept eating and drinking with the security guys all standing around. They got madder and madder. That was fun.
Well, this time around, I mean, I posted the image on Twitter. They roped off the stairs from the lobby going up to the second floor because Bilderberg has taken over the entire second floor of that hotel. Actually, I went up the staff, the emergency back stairs, which are only used by the staff. And you could get to every level apart from 2. They completely sealed off the entrance to level 2 via the back stairs as if it never existed, which was probably some kind of fire hazard or something. And then if you got out on the lift at the second floor, there were people there immediately, you know, ushering you back in. So that's on lockdown. They got people patrolling the bridges around. They're telling ice cream sellers a mile away to look out for suspicious people. If you so much as have a camera anywhere near the hotel, they come and harass you. Today we met with the police liaison, and they've given us a spot right as the cars come in, so we'll be right up against the cars inside the hotel grounds as they come in. As media, that's a different spot from where all the protesters will be, so they're going to allow a limited amount of media, up to 20 people, they said, in that area to take footage live streaming as Bilderberg members are driving in. So we met with the dialogue police, is what they called today. He walked us to the site and pointed out where they'd graciously allowed us to stand and take footage. It was made very clear that we couldn't express any kind of opinion or protest, that it was simply for observation and documentation purposes. But, you know, it's certainly a lot better spot than it was last year in Watford.
Well, Paul, I see you're tweeting at your Twitter, and that's great. Please put them out on the Alex Jones channel so a larger audience can see them. Maybe put an article together with some of the photos, because I want people to be able to see them. And I know you're about to have a camera crew there so they can get more out. But people are really ready to see you do some live feeds as well. I'd like you to cover our reporters as they try to go in with a live Ustream feed so that we have multiple angles on that today. That would be excellent. How's your internet working there?
It's not great in the hotel, to be honest. I mean, it's a 4-star hotel, but the internet is not great here. In terms of the area around the hotel, there should be a full cell phone signal.
Well, let's get some live feeds going for all the folks out there quarterbacking this from remote. I know we saw as many as 4,000 at any one time at Watford, biggest crowd ever protesting in England, north of London. What do you expect this year? I know it's more remote. It's more costly in that area. I tried to meet a few years ago, I guess 3 years ago, up on top of Swiss Mountain when you were there. And that became an international debacle, but still hundreds of protesters showed up there. How many do you expect to show up tomorrow?
Well, obviously you don't have the big Alex Jones, David Icke draw, so there certainly won't be anywhere near like there was last year. The organisers were talking about 1,000, but I think that's optimistic. I mean, there's nobody there now. There are no protesters at all. It's completely vacant. Obviously, they'll start to turn up tomorrow, so I would imagine probably 200 or 300 on each day would be a fair guess.
Now, Estelin broke down some of the things on their agenda. Stop the rise of nationalist movements that can block globalization, the bankruptcy of Europe. People really know the EU's unelected, tyrannical now. We talked about their plan to try to block Russian gas supplies, their plan to bring in more and more web censorship. From our sources, Paul, there, I know you're developing sources on the ground as well. Other intel you've got on their agenda?
Well, obviously, the presence of the Supreme Allied Commander of Europe, Philip Breedlove, in addition to Anders Rasmussen, the NATO Secretary General. Remember that every single NATO Secretary General has also been a Bilderberg member. Their presence obviously underlines what we revealed a few days ago beforehand, which was that Ukraine and the collapse of this unipolar agenda is going to be at the head of the table in terms of discussion. And we were actually talking to some U.S. Army who were staying in the hotel as personal protection for the Supreme Allied Commander of Europe, Philip Breedlove. They basically go around the world as his personal protection. So that is going to be a major topic of discussion. Obviously, you've got Christine Lagarde there, who oversaw the stripping and looting of Ukraine with the IMF loans. And you've got the mayor of Atlanta, Kazim Reed. We know that Bill Clinton attended in 1991 as a little-known governor of Arkansas. Then he was elected president, so he looks like...
Same thing with Tony Blair. When they get a mayor or a governor or a senator at the meeting, it means they're being looked at as presidential material.
Exactly, and then the future of democracy in the middle-class trap. And then they're talking about, is the economic recovery sustainable? Which, again, you go back to 2006, they were positioning themselves for the financial collapse. So the fact that they're putting doubt as to whether the so-called economic recovery, which, of course, is nothing of the sort, but the fact that they're talking about that, again, is ominous. Does privacy exist? Which is, closer to should privacy exist in their eyes, with bombshell, Greenwald, Snowden revelations to come. We know that the biggest of those revelations are yet to come, which is basically what we already know, that they're recording not only metadata, they're recording actual conversations of people within the United States. That's why they have these huge storage facilities. If it was only the metadata, they wouldn't need storage facilities that big.
Of course, they're tracking it all in real time. That's on record. Top psych warfare expert, Dr. Steve Pachinik, said he didn't think, he says he knows Alexander, he knows Clapper, and he said this last year, and he said it again in February. He said, look, this is all coming out. Snowden works for us, and he wanted to come on air and talk about that, and I just said, you know what? I said, that might be a psyop from you to then discredit him. And he goes, no, this is a coming out of it. This is so they can control the debate and limit what really comes out. And now Snowden came out, as folks know, on NBC News, and basically said, look, I'm CIA, NSA, high-level operative, and I did what I did for America. So you got to let me come back to America. And the media is now lightening up on him. Paul, what does your gut tell you on that front?
I haven't read that article, Alex. All I know is that I've repeatedly tried to get Glenn Greenwald to come on your show, and at first he says, he might do it, and then you just never hear from him again. So,
well, I've had people on the show before, and Assange is in the background, like Jones Dautier, the member of parliament, and like he's there in the room. And then during the break, we talked to him. He goes, "Oh, I'm a big listener, but you know, I can come on later." And then all these people listen to the show, and I mean, not that big a deal even getting them on. It's just that, yeah, it's well, Nemo's done the articles showing their connection to all these different spook organizations. Go ahead.
I haven't seen the NBC interview, so I don't know what Snowden said.
He said, "I was trained as a spy and did operations for the NSA and CIA all over Europe in deep cover."
Right.
Which is exactly what Pachinik said. "He's one of our operatives, Alex. He's doing it under authorization. I expect the Russians to kick him out later," which they're trying to do. "Alex, everything's going to be fine, Alex." I know he's listening to the show right now. A pretty good imitation of Pachinik, right? What do you think? What do you think?
I mean, it was known that he worked for the CIA. I don't think that's a big admission that he's some undercover operative.
No. He worked putting in equipment systems, so they claimed he had administrative access over a bunch of stuff. Now he's going, look, no, I was deep cover in Europe, CIA, NSA on operations.
Well, if you read Greenwald's new book, then it's clear that Snowden tried to approach the Washington Post with all this information, and they basically weren't interested. So
and the New York Times. Yeah,
so I hear that all the time, that Snowden's a double agent. I don't really buy it.
Well, the reason we've had private discussions about this, and the reason I agree with you overall, is he can be manipulated by the system, but they don't like this coming out. If this is full disclosure and it's hurting them, and it is, why would they trigger it? Or does he represent a subgroup, the big telecoms, that are in a fight with NSA over total information dominance, and they want the crystal ball Palantir control? They don't want government with Palantir.
I don't know, Alex, because there's a tendency to try and strip down anybody who speaks out. I mean, people do it to you all the time. They say, and I know full well I'm not an operative. Exactly, yeah. So
I am Bill Hicks, though.
There's always suspicion generated against anybody who's that public, and it comes to the point where, you know, everything's fake, the staged events, they never happened, this person's an inside job, that person's a double agent. There are some people who actually just speak out based on their own conscience and stuff. So
No, we have whistleblowers all the time that are for real, and it shakes the system to its core. I mean, I happen to know the state police guy that first gave me a document on my act got demoted because of it, and a federal marshal gave me info. They didn't figure out who he was, because he slipped it to me by hand. I mean, that's why Matt Drudge said, if you've got a whistleblower, you got to meet in a parking garage. I mean, you really do, folks. And, of course, they've always known that. Anytime I've gotten really good intel, the best stuff where people don't get burned, well, a preacher gave me the clergy response team documents 4 years before it was in the news. FEMA visited him a week later. He went to a grocery store and faxed it to us, and they went and pulled the data and went and found out who he was. Can you believe that? That's how surveilled stuff is. But they haven't gotten the FBI, the military, and the federal marshals that have given us stuff, because they give it to me by hand, Paul.
No, exactly. The thing with Snowden, though, is, you know, there's this infighting between WikiLeaks and Greenwald, because there's this criticism that they don't release it all in one go. They don't dump the data. But I don't think that makes sense. If you're in the position of Greenwald, you want to dole it out and keep it in the media, not just for a week or two, for a year, as he's done. So a lot of the criticism's directed towards Greenwald and Snowden, even though we don't particularly have any affinity with them, because they tend to ignore us. But the criticisms don't make much sense, which is why I'm kind of shying away from it.
All right, but I think it's fair to look at it in the light of the new news. Stay there. All right, it's February 14th of this year, Valentine's Day. Steve Pachinik saying that Snowden's an operative and doing all this under full authorization and more than meets the eye. Here it is.
Well, I will tell you very simply. I started to think of Snowden a long time ago. As I was saying, I thought he was, and analyzing him not as an American, but as a counterintelligence operative or somebody who's had experience in counterintelligence. I thought Snowden was very much what I call the manufactured avatar of the American intelligence community. And what do I mean by that? I started looking at tapes of Edward Snowden when he was giving these bombastic interviews, self-aggrandizing interviews to the German press and other presses. But in the recent press, in a recent interview, he very clearly stated to the Germans, yes, I was in the special forces, but I broke my ankle. Now, that was not credible to me, because if you're in the special forces, you don't just break your ankle and you don't leave. But he went on to explain that the special forces was something that was a noble endeavor on his part, and he saw it as a magnifier of military power. In other words, he gave me an explanation that was inconsistent with being a subcontractor. Then he went on to really indict himself by saying in the interview, I'm a CIA operative. I was recruited by the CIA and then the NSA. So what I'm getting at very quickly was Snowden is very typical of what we in the intelligence community would want to do, and that is to create an avatar or an image of a person who may be a traitor or a whistleblower, so that we allow the American public to play off either part of two figures that the intelligence community creates. On the one hand, the intelligence community creates this incredible massive surveillance, where at the same time they want to make sure that they are not acquitted, that they're not judged harshly, so that they make sure they can control the narrative.
That's right. It's already starting to come out, so they have a limited hangout and dole out the information, and then later they can have him come out dressed up in a dress, like David Shaler of MI5, or Bradley Manning coming out in a dress. They found that's the best way to discredit something, make him an icon, and then Snowden comes out in a big red dress. Chelsea Manning, excuse me. And I'm not kidding that we may have just blown their operation right there. When will Snowden show up in a pink tutu is the question, Paul Watson.
I honestly don't know, Alex, but yeah, there are enough really bad things going on that we can prove, so I try not to get into speculation too much about Snowden, because I know a lot of people get obsessed with that kind of stuff.
But you know, I mean, the Manning stuff and Shaler, I mean, how many whistleblowers have to come out dressed like a woman? I mean, you know that's staged.
Well, I met Shaler with you back in 2005, and he was completely the most down-to-earth person you would ever want to meet.
No, we had drinks with him for about 5 hours.
That was pretty odd. I think he did have a mental breakdown, but whether that was tied into something else, I don't know. It was definitely odd.
No, that was all him blowing his whole operation at the end of it. That's classic, man. I'm telling you, I think Pachinik's got something here. I'm not sure he's right. It may be his training makes you a little too paranoid, but it's good to be too paranoid than not enough paranoid. Watson, you're going to be there. The big day starts tomorrow. We're going to have more coverage with you, aren't we? There at Bilderberg. We're going to have more coverage tomorrow with you.
Okay.
And lastly, Paul, in 1 hour, I want you to give them live feed coverage as they approach the hotel and the rest of it, so we can get that all on tape. Okay, bud?
Okay. Will do.
So the guys are there now. Suit up. Get ready. 1 hour from now, we will approach everybody live, bare minimum, shoot video, and get it out for everybody. Okay, Paul?
Okay.
Great job, Watson. And please remember, this broadcast is brought to you by our great sponsors at MyPatriotSupply.com/Alex. MyPatriotSupply.com/Alex. And when you go there, high quality, non-GMO, storable foods, the best out there in my view, great prices, great service, 866-229-0927. MyPatriotSupply.com/Alex. Second hour coming up. It's going to be jam-packed on this live Wednesday edition.
Visit GCN.
Ladies and gentlemen, David Knight and Josh Owens and our other reporter that will go unnamed, because obviously Bilderberg Group's watching the show, would like to have a little ace in the hole, a little secret nobody knows, to quote the immortal George Strait. Their plane got delayed because of big storms in Texas, so they got in a day late. Then they wouldn't give them their rent car. Their luggage disappeared. And this has happened to me before. I'm surprised they even got through customs, but they don't want to have the big event of reporters being stopped at customs. They're smart about it. So David just got arrested a few weeks ago, a week and a half ago in Virginia at Fort A.P. Hill, covering the FEMA camp there. So they're going to be getting there in the next hour. We're going to do a live feed from there with Paul Watson and crew. And then we have reservations there today. We're going to politely walk up to the front and then have them say, no, you can't come in, it's Bilderberg, and see what happens, and get some live feeds out there and some HD feeds that could be on the nightly news tonight of that. And then tomorrow we'll have all the globalists arriving. We'll find out who's arriving, who's not part of the list, because that's who they're really trying to hide. British royalty, Rothschilds. Sometimes you'll get the person who they're about to run for president. They're sneaking in. I've been there when they snuck Hillary and Obama in. I was there when they snuck Hillary in a U.S. State Department armored limo in 2006 when she was a senator. And they backed it in and had the American flags on it. We later got photos of Hillary in there. And then Richard Holbrooke was going to come up and talk to us, later learned. He's like, I'm sick of these people. But then I started screaming, Holbrooke, we know who you are. And he goes, and turned around and walked away. So nobody can ever second guess any of the reporters on the ground because you do the best job you can in a fluid situation. And it's pretty easy to be Monday morning quarterbacking, folks. But that's all coming up. And again, I know for the audience here, most of the old-time audience and steadfast audience, this is old hat for you, Bilderberg. Because you got to remember, we have over 170 AM and FM affiliates across the country on the weekday transmission. And a lot of people are, I've heard of it, heard it made fun of. Now the fact that it's being admitted to is a big deal. And I got to give credit where credit's due. Infowars.com, WorldNetDaily.com, DrudgeReport.com, and now even The Guardian have been at the absolute tip of the spear the last 6-7 years, making all the other media that refuses to cover it look bad. And it's important. That's why CNN lost 44% of its audience last year alone, of the already small audience they had. I mean, that's implosion level. MSNBC only lost 24% of their audience last year, but they'd already been losing that almost every year. I mean, it's still, you start losing a smaller and smaller percentage of a smaller and smaller. It's like having a swimming pool-size audience 15 years ago on CNN and now having a teacup full of listeners and viewers. I mean, I harp on that because they really are the mouse that roared. I mean, they really are the emperor's new clothes. It's narcissism television for women, and then MSNBC is race baiting, targeting blacks. But I've seen a demographic with blacks that's not even high. I mean, it's literally a bunch of people that all have their own narcissistic jobs as managers and as the heads of it and as the anchors, most of them political retreads from the Democratic Party and the Republican Party, who just keep milking the industries and corporations they work for and the advertisers. And I've talked to some of the executives, and I've seen them in trade publications admit, oh, it's all going to implode in the next few years. It's already really imploded, but we're just going to keep riding the gravy train as long as possible. So let me announce to you, the mainstream media is dead. The mainstream media is dead. Nietzsche said God is dead, which was delusional. The mainstream media is dead, and that's why they want to kill the new media, because we really show that. But you can't put the genie back in the bottle. You can't put Humpty Dumpty back together again. That train already left the station. I'm really glad he's here in studio with us. Dr. Edward Group is our guest, the Global Healing Center. Look at this headline. FBI agents, synthetic biology could reduce our population. The New York Times reported, this is on Infowars.com, that the FBI agent warns of synthetic biology can reduce our population by significant percentages. The New York Times reported earlier this month on a conference held at MIT on May 1st that discussed synthetic biology. The conference gathered an increasing group of scientists and Homeland Security representatives who themselves admitted that this could end humanity as we know it. Quote, the FBI agent Carmine Negro, he was quoted as saying these technologies do not just pose a risk to individual buildings or cities, but if cleverly deployed can reduce our population by significant percentages. And it goes on. And it's the globalists that are open-air planting synthetic biology. Plants are the easiest thing from the scientists we've had on to reprogram, to grow live viruses, whatever you want in them. They call it pharmacological crops. And it's already having repercussions. I mean, just look at the glyphosate, a chemical in the water, creating the epidemic of breast cancer every country where it's used. I mean, it on record grows breast tumors. It's estrogen-dependent tumors. That's not even this new form of genetic engineering that's self-replicating. It's genetic nanotech. And we're all part of the experiment, so that's some of what's coming up with Dr. Edward Group. There's so much I want to get him on about today. Pregnant women should take iodine supplements, docs, that's Newsmax, just yesterday. Pregnant women should take an iodine supplement to protect brain development of their babies, according to leading U.S. group of pediatricians. Oh, who's been saying that forever? Dr. Group. Iodine, which the body can get from iodide, is needed to make the thyroid hormones. It literally is the building block, folks, that are required for children's brain development before and after birth. And then it goes into the studies. Women and children of childbearing age need to pay attention to this topic as well, because about half the pregnancies in the U.S. are unplanned. Dr. Jerome Paulson said, women in the early part of their pregnancy may not realize they're pregnant, and then it gets into the different disorders you can get. But no one will tell you this. Now, again, the feds, back when they weren't pure evil, when the eugenicists were just taking over in the 20s, they did positive eugenics, not negative like we're seeing now, and said, wait a minute, we're having mental retardation, all these disorders. We know in animal studies, if you don't have iodine, then your thyroid can't put out the different directives for other glands to regulate the hormones you need, and you're going to really not develop mentally. You're going to have all sorts of problems. You're going to have all sorts of behavioral problems. You're going to have all sorts of medical problems. And so they said, we want iodine put in all the salt. Now, that's forced medication. They shouldn't have done it, but it was the right thing to do. It's on record that it was a miracle of medical health and paved the way for other forced medications like fluoride, because folks had seen how well that had worked. Fluoride replaces, to the same molecule chain, the same area in the periodic table, blocks that. So not only are our kids not getting the iodine they need, this is the iodine conspiracy. Ladies and gentlemen, they are now getting the bromine and bromide and iodine. This is all mainline medical science. I'm begging you to understand that it's the iodine conspiracy, iodine/fluoride conspiracy. Now, he came up here on something completely different today. I wanted to go off on this jag. We'll do that at about 40 after. We have a big announcement in the field of iodine. This is a decade in development. He was going to have this out a year ago and said, look, we can put out the survival shield now. It's great. It's something kids can take because it's not as strong. Doesn't taste like rocket fuel. It's real iodine. It turns, black on the paper when it's bound. It turns electric blue. It's ours, like the crystals, 8,000 feet under the ground. But he said, I've been working on a new one. I wish you'd wait. That is going to be unlike anything ever imagined. And let me tell you, I've been on it for over a month. And if you thought survival shield was powerful, it's still great, folks, because a lot of people can't handle the detox effect even of it. So you need to really check with your physician or healthcare provider. We're going to make an announcement at about 40 after or so of the new breaking iodine information. And when I say revolutionary, I mean, this is so powerful. And it is totally new and from a source that no one else has. And I'm just so lucky and blessed to be part of this. And God just keeps coming through for us to, work with the group over the last 4 or 5 years as a guest and things. But then to just the things he's developed, we've got medical doctors involved. Others, they just keep saying yes, yes, yes. Trailblazing a bunch of other products he's developing with some chemists we know and some medical doctors our science is all just meshing together, dealing with mitochondrial DNA, so much more. It's very exciting. But this is really elementary. It's really pathetic, folks, that you have to have iodine to produce your hormones. And they just put other stuff in there that totally screws you up. And that's why people are so zombie-like. So we're going to get into that. But he wanted to come on a few weeks ago. I wanted to get him in here because we did a whole special on the war on men a few months ago and our hormones with the estrogen mimickers. And people said, why not cover women? Why don't you cover women? Well, we're mainly a male audience, probably 70% male. But I'm male, so I cover male issues. It's not that I'm ignoring women. We came out with super male vitality because that was what was in development already. And quite frankly, it works great with women. But no, group said, no, we can do something even better for women. I've tested this with 5 women I know. 4 of them are bouncing off the walls with energy, libido, you name it. One of them says it's made her tired. We're just going to be honest about the response. She's only been on it 3 days, though. We're going to investigate what's happening with that. So, just the results vary. But I'm talking bouncing off the walls for some women. Well, 4 out of 5. Dr. Edward Group is here to make two big announcements. We have Super Female Vitality now available in the shopping cart today. You not only get a great product, it helps block all the garbage they put in the food and water. You support the tip of the spear in the info war. We have live reportage from going into the Bilderberg Hotel next hour with David Knight and others. And we're announcing the iodine coming up as well at 40 after. But Dr. Group, I've done a long intro there. We'll have you till 15 after next hour when David Knight joins us. But you've heard me break down this win-win situation. You've got a lot of points here. Estrogen dominance decreases B, zinc, Mg, DHEA, serotonin. Bill Gates, history of estrogen dominance, eugenics, estrogen mimickers, what it does in women, not just men, social engineering, pesticides, BPA, soy, GMOs, plastics, birth control, Edward Bernays, alcohol. It all starts in the gut. You've got the floor. Break down. Drum roll, please. There is a solution to this. It's diet, it's exercise, it's purified water, and then it's the nitrous oxide of race car driving. It is a super feminine vitality.
Well, it all started years ago when the globalists wanted to figure out ways to sterilize the population and to control the birth rates. And at that time, Margaret Sanger, who actually worked with Bill Gates' dad, was the one that wanted to create a birth control pill. And then she worked with a scientist called Pincus.
That's right. His dad was top Army intelligence under the Rockefellers and with Margaret Sanger. And is still alive running ops today.
Oh, it's Planned.
He actually runs the foundation. He runs the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation.
Right, and then that all that translates into many other things, and it ties to Monsanto and everything else for the whole sterility thing. But she's the one that really pushed the birth control pills, and so that was a way because they knew that, by the way, estrogen blocks the absorption of iodine. They know that there's a link between estrogen and iodine. So what now, because of the birth control pills and the propaganda and the feminization of females that was done by Edward Bernays, the king of propaganda, who not only convinced everybody that fluoride was safe, he was the one that was also hired to create the feminization because they knew that...
And to get women to smoke cigarettes.
And cigarettes was the big campaign, too, that he convinced the whole public. And then he was ultimately, hired on as the mastermind of manipulation of the population. But they knew that they were only getting 50% of the tax money also by males working. So his job was to get females out of the house and get them into the workplace so that the government could collect 100% of the taxes from everybody.
And have the state raise the kids.
And one of the and the state raised the kids.
By the way, he wrote 3 books bragging about this.
Right.
Anybody out there can read by him saying this.
Yes. But one of the key points I wanted to mention, how that all ties together in the estrogen conspiracy and the war on women, is the fact that part of the way to get women out of the household was to create canned food and boxed foods and processed foods, and the microwave, which came into existence too. So if women didn't have to cook anymore, they could go to work and
that was the washing. They didn't just give us washing machines and all this. They wanted to change the culture. They wanted to end humans being primitive, being self-sufficient.
Yeah, that's right, and also
it's the technocracy. And I'm not bashing the conveniences. It's just that they gave us these tools of the gods, the fire of Prometheus, to end us.
And therefore, we have the creation of the estrogen compounds and the estrogen mimickers, starting with BPA and all the BPA that's sprayed in the cans, because canned foods, everybody wanted to have the easy dinner at night, and the microwave foods where
the male used to bring the worms to the nest. The female ran the nest, not because she was weak, she was more important. Now we don't bring worms. The HEB does, the Safeway does, and it's bisphenol A worms to our babies.
That's right. I mean, and so what you have is you have estrogen dominance in males and you have estrogen dominance in females, and it's coming from every single direction, and that's why females are suffering from extra weight gain, low thyroid because they can't absorb iodine,
breast cysts,
any type of glandular problem, any type of cyst in any gland directly related to an iodine deficiency.
We're going to skip this network break. It's too important. Keep going.
Women and men, for that matter, have their hormones completely whacked out, especially when you add soy and personal care products, which most people don't talk about with women. They slather all these parabens and all these...
By the way, last week they came out in AP, guys, reprinted, and admitted what you've been saying forever, that guess what? Those plastics and the stuff in the hair care products, guess what? It destroys your fertility. Oopsie.
Yeah, oopsie, estrogen just modifies the growth of cells. When you have cancer cells in a petri dish and you put a drop at like a trillionth of what you would get in a couple cans or heating something in the microwave, you see those cancer cells immediately just start to replicate like at a very fast speed.
So it's a cancer adjuvant.
It's a cancer adjuvant, and that's why we have so much breast cancer and everything else. But iodine is there to protect people and women from that. But
so it's racist.
Women need to be aware.
Iodine is racist.
Well, if you look at it from the globalist point
well, no, I mean, anything free or good is called racist, so it's bad.
Right, because they know that if they mess up the hormones in everybody, it can cause just a world of other problems within the system. So what you have to look at is women avoiding or going with all natural personal care products. And then another big problem that no one's talking about is the atrazine and the pesticides that are being sprayed everywhere, because the Roundup, atrazine is in the water supply, tested in every water supply pretty much in the country. And those are also estrogen mimickers, and it's hard to avoid because what else they have inside those pesticides, which they don't even have to list on the label, they have other chemicals in there as well that help them bind and stick to the foods, and it goes down into the soil so the plant actually sucks it up inside. So
bioaccumulates.
Yeah, bioaccumulates. So it can really affect the fetus in the womb, because if the mother is taking in all these estrogen mimickers, it can create the brain of a female but the genitalia of a male, or it can have the genitalia of a male and the brain of a female.
And they admitted that in the 60s. So Dr. Michael Kaufman said that in Endgame 2.0. He was reading the documents on air, how the sexual revolution was so we wouldn't stay together and take care of kids so the state could raise them. But next phase was to chemicalize to where males and females were indistinguishable. They would make the age of puberty earlier, just like in Brave New World, which Huxley admitted was a fictional account of what they really planned to do, and he said that in Brave New World Revisited.
Right. I mean, just the atrazine levels in lakes and ponds and the pesticide levels in there are actually having, and they've done studies on frogs, they actually have frogs that have male genitalia but turn over for other males because their brain...
And when I cover this, Huffington Post says that we're anti-gay. The frogs are dying, the animals are dying, they're doing this on purpose. We should just accept this and go for it.
That's the gender-bending chemicals, and it's another reason why they planted so much soy. They knew that soy was going to be extremely toxic. It takes a lot. Well, you factor in...
Henry Ford, the Nazi, the eugenicist, was obsessed with that.
Right, and then Monsanto genetically modifying all the soy. Well, not only is it genetically modified, but it's also Roundup resistant, and then Roundup in itself is an endocrine-disrupting chemical or an estrogen mimicker. So that causes a problem with the hormones, and it's soaked up inside the soy. So not only are you getting the phytoestrogens in soy, but you're also getting the endocrine-disrupting chemicals and the estrogen-disrupting.
And then the printer ink has it in it, everything. And I was reading, talking to chemists, and your dad was a top chemist. They didn't even need to go with this recipe, but they got all the big printer companies to go with it, and it's on the money, too. They're just sterilizing us at every level.
Right. They're disrupting our hormones so we can't think properly, we can't function properly. It creates separation in the homes. The male doesn't feel confident anymore because he's estrogen. The male starts getting a belly around himself. He starts growing man boobs. His butt starts to get a little bit bigger, because one of the things with estrogen dominance in women is it lowers their libido. Number two, it increases the fat around their butt, and it increases the fat around their breast tissue too, but also around the stomach. So, and it lowers their thyroid, and the list goes on and on and on and on. I mean, they have problems with cysts. They have premenstrual syndrome. Their menstrual cycles are irregular. They're not able to get rid of their toxins on a regular basis. So all that...
CNN would just say you're against women for warning them.
Well, I mean, that's...
I mean, if you...
Of course, that's what CNN...
They need to just die for the earth. Isn't it better? They shouldn't take iodine. They shouldn't learn about this. They shouldn't take it when they're pregnant, even though there's a bunch of admitted disorders from iodine deficiency in the fetus, correct?
Right, and that's why there's also such a big push for flu shots on pregnant women right now from all the OB-GYNs, which I personally...
And by the way, until 5 years ago, all medical people were told, nurses, you name it, never give a pregnant woman a vaccine. They knew it caused deformities. They knew it caused disorders, autoimmune and spontaneous miscarriages. Now they say pregnant women need extra.
They do, which is just causing more problems with the kids, because whenever you put any type of chemical like that into the body, it does cross the placenta now, some of these things, and it does affect the kid. I mean, and not only, you could think that you're not exposing yourself to estrogen, but there's so many women on birth control pills that 85% of the estrogen gets peed out by the woman, and that goes into our water system. So if you're drinking tap water...
And now in Austin, they're going to give us toilet to tap that doesn't even remove it. So now, if you drink Austin water or other cities that have it, it is a death sentence. All of the Prozac, all the Ritalin, everything just annihilating you.
Right, and it's like homeopathics. You don't need it in large doses to make a difference in the body. I mean, all a homeopathic is just water with an energy signature in it. So basically,
but fluoride, you know, is the, and I've had medical doctors on, like Blaylock, is the total turbo adjuvant to turbo. Once you have fluoride, the other drugs are in there, it turbocharges them.
Yeah, that's why they put fluoride.
Makes them electrical.
Fluoride's in anti-malarials, anti-inflammatories, anti-arthritis, a bunch of the antibiotics. It's in antidepressants.
And it's not just fluoride. Hydrofluorosilicic acid has been electrolyzed.
And aluminum. They add aluminum in there to take it up into the brain tissue and to calcify the pineal gland and to calcify, you know, because the pineal gland...
And then they write books how they're doing it like eco-science, but still we're conspiracy theorists.
Right. Right. I mean, it's all, the thing is, everything's in plain day. I mean, they know how important the pineal gland is. That's why the Pope has a pine cone-looking shape on his cone over there, and there's pine cones. If you look at everywhere around the Vatican, they tell you straight up, this is a representation of the pineal gland. If you look at the Eye of Horus in the Egyptian sculptures, I mean, they knew how important the pineal gland was, too. And I know we're getting off subject.
No, seat of the soul.
Is the seat of the soul. And it's everywhere. So
and you cut it out, those higher-level brainwaves just don't happen.
Well, the pineal gland is made, if you cut it open, it's made of rods and cones, exactly like what's in your eye. That's why they call it the third eye. So why are you going to have something in the middle of your brain that's made of the exact same thing your eye is made of, rods and cones? The only reason you have rods and cones is to see things, visual.
Rods and cones pick up color and pick up light.
That's right. So if you can see things, obviously, and the Egyptians knew about it, of course.
It's picking up all what they now know, all the different particles that are coming through out of space. And the particles coming up out of the Earth, magnetic fields, the same way they've proven fish and birds can navigate. It's now been proven by Scientific American. Just the last year, they've gone, no, it's true. Humans have these cells in the pineal, the same ones fish and other animals have, to feel magnetic lines. And some people have it stronger than others.
That's why they know that the endocrine disrupting chemicals, the estrogen mimickers, the phthalates, the pesticides, all of the stuff that they're spraying and putting in the air and the food and the water disrupts the glandular system of the body. You know, the glandular system.
They're attacking our most important eyeball.
The pineal gland, the adrenal glands, you know, all of the glands in the system. They know that the glands are what runs the body. You destroy the glands, you destroy the consciousness, you dumb people down, you make them non-aggressive, you make them non-motivated, you alter their hormone levels, and then they become nothing more than an easily manipulated, easily controlled,
I agree. Every time we get here,
sterilized population.
Start telling us what super female vitality does. How it's different than super male.
Well, you know, super female vitality was developed because we had such good success with super male vitality, and it's all about taking action. You know, here's the problem. Let's come up with a solution. That's why we came up with super male. Now we've had so many requests by women saying, hey, what can I do? You know, I don't want to go through PMS symptoms and all that stuff. I mean, half the time I'm going through mood swings, blah, blah, blah. My libido is low. Now my husband is all over me. You know, when are you going to come out with something for women? So what we did is I tweaked the formula a little bit, and the super female vitality is designed to help naturally increase the body's own production of testosterone and to help the woman balance out some of these hormones that her body is naturally trying to fight. Because if she's if she's lathering herself with all this lotion, which is decreasing her estrogen or mimicking estrogen, she needs something to help balance that out. So that's why Super Female Vitality was developed, so it gives the body a chance.
It's available at InfoWarsLife.com. We'll be right back. 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. Central. We're here. Back weeknight, 7 o'clock Central with InfoWars Nightly News. And then back Sundays, live, 4 to 6 p.m. Central with the Sunday edition. I'm pro-human, ladies and gentlemen. I want to see humanity empowered. I want to promote things that I believe in, that I use, that I know are great. Whether it's the ProPure G2.0 filters that cut out the fluoride and the glyphosates, annihilate the competition. They cost the same or lower than the leading competition. Side-by-side comparisons at InfoWarsStore.com. You just can't beat it. Promo code 10% off water. And then we have InfoWarsLife.com with the lung cleanse and the Super Male Vitality, the Super Female Vitality, the Survival Shield Nascent Iodine, the organic, high mountain, volcanic Chiapas coffee. That's my personal favorite. So we got a connection to the co-op down there and bring it to you. Wake Up America in 2 different blends. One of them immune support at a very affordable price. Starbucks sells pretty much the same coffee. They get the same place for twice the amount. And there's an example right there. You support a Patriot group, get the same coffee, half the price. InfoWarsLife.com, InfoWarsStore.com. But Super Female Vitality, quite frankly, groups like, well, this works for most women. And you've heard women's testimonials here on the air. But he said, I could tweak some stuff to make it even better for women. And we've had it a few months here, the beta batches of it. And then we have to pull the trigger. I have to decide to get it. Okay, let's go with it. Then we get the raw herbs in. Leading competitors have similar things for about twice the price. And it's dry herbs, and it's not as concentrated. That's why you get such a bigger response. And this stuff doesn't mimic your hormones. It gets your body to produce them. And I want Dr. Group to describe how this works, some of the things that are in the Super Female Vitality. And then folks can know also, get a bottle, try it. If it doesn't work great for you, you're going to be in the great minority. And it doesn't matter. You've supported the broadcast. But it's the real deal. And why so many people I know are cynical about female or male, vitality, exercise, libido formulas, clarity formulas, because they've gotten a small response or maybe side effects. I've never seen such positive responses with what you've come out with here. Why is it so different? What is in the Super Female Vitality that folks can get at InfoWarsLife.com?
Most of the stuff that's out there is bought from cheap Chinese herbs, or they get it from India, and most of it's just designed to try to sell you a lot of product for a high price. I mean, if you look in the muscle building magazines and you look at most of the vitamin stores that are out there, it's not really focused on adjusting the root cause of the problem. They might use a high level of standardized herbs. Most likely those were powdered. The source of the herbs, they might contain metals or contaminants, or maybe they're not mixed. I mean, when I look at the majority of healthcare products out there on the market and call the companies and say, who formulated this? These herbs don't even work together. I mean, I could take guaranteed 99% of the supplements out there on the market and find a problem with each one of them. Either they have magnesium stearate in it, they have some toxic compound in it, or they're using two herbs that block each other, the action. So these formulators really don't know what they're doing. Our R&D process is, we look at all different things, especially when you're dealing with a hormone product and you have to look at what the effect is going to be on DHEA, what the effect is going to be on estrogen, what the effect's going to be on progesterone, what the effect's going to be on testosterone, melatonin, serotonin. I mean, there's so many hormones that you have to cross-reference. One might decrease testosterone, one might increase testosterone. And then you have companies out there that are putting both of those herbs in one formula, so they're canceling each other out. There's a lot of research that goes behind it. And actually, the majority of companies' formulators don't even have any type of scientific degree.
Well, I mean, I've talked to a lot of the companies looking into this over the last few years, and they just say, look, we just throw as many things as we can because people like to see a bunch of stuff on the label.
Yeah,
but it's like bad drug interactions, I guess, would be a similar analogy, where the doctors just throw people on all these prescriptions.
I've literally talked to formulators because I call them up on the phone and I'm like, so tell me, why'd you put that in there? Why'd you? And then they say, one guy said, well, to be honest with you, when I formulated the product, I just typed in male hormone product in Google, and I just took like the top 2 herbs that were in 20 different formulas or 10 different formulas that were popular out there, and they just take the top 2 and put it in their formula, and then they say that that's...
Well, that's the thing. I played football and stuff, so I didn't do any like illegal drugs or anything, but I would take yohimbe bark. And I would be able to work out harder, but feel crazy, swell up, and have headaches. I was on it a week, got off of it. So many other supplements make me feel bad. That's why I don't do them. These make me feel incredibly good.
Well, it has to do with the processing, too, and it has to do with choosing the herb. I mean, you might be able to get one specific herb from 20 different places. That, this place over here, it might be, 6 months old, and it might be cut and sifted. This place over here might be powdered, and they're importing it from China, and it sat in a 200-degree warehouse in China for 10 years. This place over here might have, sourcing it from India. So the problem is when people look at formulating a product, other companies, they look for the least expensive herb available. So if they're looking for maca root, let's say, which is a good hormone regulator, they look their purchaser that's going to purchase it, because it gets handed off to a purchaser. I personally handle that myself because I know how important it is, but no other company does because they don't have time to do that. They hand it off to a purchaser. They find all the different companies. They find the cheapest one. If they're going to buy a ton, 1,000 kilos, they're going to say, I don't care if the best one, the organic one over here, is $100 a kilo. We got to make some money. I'm going to buy this one from China. It's been sitting up. It's on sale because they're trying to get rid of it.
And by the way, looking into this, I mean, I've talked to big formulators, and they go, oh, our whole bottle cost us $2, and they laugh at us that we actually get the organic wet herbs and get it all certified, and it costs us $16 a bottle or something. I mean, they just think that's ridiculous. They'd rather sell it for more than we do. It costs them a fraction of the price. I want to get good karma. I mean, I don't mean that. I'm not a Buddhist. I don't actually believe, but you reap what you sow. I want to have the best product. I want to feel good about what I'm selling. I want people to reorder it because it's so good. On top of it, you get more success out of giving them a good product.
Well, the oath that medical doctors take is first do no harm.
Hippocratic oath. They don't even give that anymore.
You know what I mean? So that's the way I look at it. First, do no harm. I mean, I know because I've studied all the other companies and what they do, and a lot of those products are harmful to the body. So that's the first step. And then the second step is make sure that it's processed correctly. There's people that process their herbs in aluminum batches.
Or they hot process. You cold press.
And that denatures. Or they use alcohol, which you're only able to extract, 40% of the herb's constituents from it. And by the way, alcohol is an endocrine disruptor too. So why am I going to put an herb, make an herbal formula that's supposed to help support normal hormone
That's
levels,
why you go with glycerin base.
and put an endocrine disruptor in?
And your glycerin is from German certified organic corn.
My vegetable glycerin comes from different sources, but the one I use and the one I like to use is from palm, actually.
Yeah.
It's from palm.
I just know one of the purchase orders I saw was a German corn. Because people can argue, well, there's no such thing as organic corn. No, Germany's got it certified.
Well, if it's organic, it's fine. I mean, we're trying. There's a shortage right now of vegetable glycerin, but people are trying to do the same thing.
I was about to say, we've caused doing this. And it's funny because then everybody starts doing what we're doing, and then they get mad at us. Like, we create the market, and then they're like, mad, you need to now go die somewhere because you made iodine so popular.
Well, think about this. I mean, I personally believe that, because there's 200 plant species or just any living species going extinct practically every day right now, one of the reasons why there's so many pesticides and insecticides sprayed and the genetically modified and with the chemtrails is that the perennial herbs are highly sensitive to soil conditions, especially acidic soil. So when you spray aluminum nanoparticles all over the ground, we're losing a lot of the medicinal herbs.
Oh, yeah, only the GMO that they've stacked into Monsanto products, aluminum resistance, so only their stuff can grow.
So why do you think that they have a seed vault with thousands of medicinal herbs when medicinal herbs are the direct competition to population control eugenics and direct competition to the pharmaceutical
I was about to say they have 14 Rockefeller-inspired UN seed vaults. 14.
Right.
And they have zoological vaults.
So what happens if they kill off all the medicinal herbs?
Only they then have it.
Yeah,
to bring it back.
And there's no more supplements for people to take that they can use. Instead of they're forced into taking pharmaceuticals.
It's simply incredible, and it helps fund our operation as well. Super feminine vitality. Tell folks about some of the things that are in it. It's available at InfoWarsLife.com or by calling 888-253-3139. And again, this is how we help fund the operation as well. We do these little promos once a month or so with Dr. Group, but mainly get into the news here with him. Tell folks how this is different than the super male vitality formula.
Well, it's a lot of the same herbs are in there. The only difference is we added one herb in there that really works good for female libido, which is epididium, and it's another name for it is horny goatweed. And what makes this formula, what makes it so special is women, especially women in their 40s, you know, when they're estrogen dominant, they lose a lot of self-confidence because they start gaining that extra weight. They don't feel sexy anymore, and it's very important for a woman, obviously, to feel like she's sexy and that she can look in the mirror and she's self-confident and she likes herself. You know, that actually...
That's what sexy is, a woman that thinks she's sexy.
Well, that is what helps produce the pheromones, and the pheromones are the attractive hormones for men and women. So, you know, if a woman is not feeling good about herself, she thinks she's, you know, unhealthy, she's fat, you know, blah, 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 then, you know, and the fact that she has low energy levels, you know, she's deficient in iodine. I mean, all those things go hand in hand. What this is designed to do is bring them back to where they were when they were 18. Of course, I highly recommend that all the women look online for endocrine disrupting chemicals, estrogen mimicking chemicals, and start avoiding all those, because if you really want to bring yourself back...
Exactly. Even more important than taking this is purify the water, get away from the stuff that has it in there by design.
Right. Exactly.
I mean, that's the real public service announcement, and then support the InfoWar getting this product. And you know, seeing what it does for you, check with your healthcare provider. Now, let's shift gears to the really big announcement here today. Then we're going to have Bilderberg coverage in the next hour, but I want to get back into your big list of how they're targeting women. Let's talk about Survival Shield X2, ladies and gentlemen. And look, you'll notice I have an X2 that's already been tapped into here. I've been taking it for over a month, and I've also been working on some of the other new stuff we've got as well. Look, listen, we're going to keep selling the Survival Shield. It's excellent, the regular. And it's great for kids and things because it's not as strong as this. And I got to be honest, folks, we can't even keep enough of this in. And like you said, there's shortages in the palm oil and things. So I went out and looked at other iodines, and they did things like, you know, burn my gut. I learned other people were getting ulcers from it. It has the alcohol. Iodine does something weird in iodine. There's some formulas out there that I think are okay. I'm not knocking it. You need it regardless. It's just that in this glycerin base and the type of iodine it is, where it comes from, there's nothing like it. But he came out with X2 that's even stronger, is bright red. I've never seen iodine that's either black, brown, turns black and brown, or it's blue, blue-yellow. This is bright red, like blood, and turns bright blue on paper like the actual crystal, that if you had a crystal of it, this is where this comes from, it would, like alien blood, eat through 3 or 4 floors, okay, unless it was in ceramics. This is explosive stuff. And just to let you know, a lot of hoops had to be gone through to get this type of iodine. It's super controlled. The group's been in business forever and is able to get it, okay? There's like wars going on, you know, for companies to even get this iodine of this quality. Dr. Group, we're not playing games. I don't want to go into all the inside baseball, but iodine is heavily controlled. Tell people why and tell them what X2 is, because this is special.
When I was looking at developing a higher potency iodine, one of the questions that we were getting from a lot of people was, why is all the iodine sourced from seaweed, especially with Fukushima being, with all the radiation going on, how do we know that iodine is safe? So that led me on a journey to try to find, is there any other sources of pure raw material of iodine? Iodine, like you said, is very heavily regulated by the DEA because it's used to make methamphetamine. So what I ended up tracking down, and I actually had to fly out to different places, but there was and this is not too many people know this, there's actually a deposit which is 7,000 to 10,000 feet deep inside the earth from millions of years ago. It's a salt deposit which is very, very high in iodine. There's a company that actually drilled all the way down and has... I actually flew out and met with the company, and I have the rights to get... By the way,
I want to send crew out there with you, but I don't want to say where it's at, obviously. But okay. It's so amazing. You've actually got the purple crystals.
I've got
no one's got
the highest purity iodine crystals in the world. A USP grade only has to be 99.6, 99.7. I have 99.99. This iodine is 5 to 10 times more expensive, too, per kilogram, but we didn't even raise our price by 5 times. I mean, it's
the same price.
It's the same price. I mean, so this is a project for humanity.
Listen, I mean, it's unbelievable. It's unbelievable what this does.
It's unbelievable. You can use it for skin. You can use it for so many different things. And I don't want to make a bunch of claims, but the process that we had to go through to secure this and to get this is amazing. I mean, throughout 20 years of doing research, I've never been the type of doctor that said, you need to be on 30 different nutraceuticals. You need to be taking all these vitamins and all this stuff every day, because we figured out how easy it is to bring the body back to health and to reactivate the body's...
And the globalists know they target iodine.
Yeah, exactly.
But then even what people get is the cruddy forms. This is it.
That's why they're trying to suppress iodine. They're trying to take it off the market, probably, from what I hear. I mean...
Well, I got into iodine because years ago I started taking the monophyllin seaweed that we sell, and it really helped me. So then I started taking other iodines. They would make me kind of feel bad, but overall better. It would hurt my stomach. Then I found your iodine. And then, I mean, it's a totally different iodine.
It's a huge process that this goes through. It takes it takes days and weeks to do this. By the time you get the pure iodine in, you get it in processing, you stabilize it into the glycerin, you bottle it. I mean,
Stay there. I want to hear about the process. It's proprietary. It's X2. It's funding the info war. It's incredible. Now, we got Amy Steiner on. Shane Steiner's lovely wife. I wish we had a picture of her. But she heard that we were talking about super feminine vitality, and she got a bottle of it about a month ago. And then one of her kids knocked it off the table, and it broke. And Shane came up here a few weeks ago when this had already come in. We were waiting to promote it until we got even more in. And that is an issue. We have a limited supply. It will sell out. That's how hard it is to get these herbs. You've seen that happen for real. If you want to get the super feminine vitality, you better do it today. The X2 is a limited supply. We still have the great survival shield. It's great for kids, in my view. We're going to continue a little bit in the next hour on the X2 and how it's mined from 7 to 12,000 feet, explaining what the crystals do, more of how they're targeting women. But since Amy Steiner, married to my good high school buddy, called in, now, again, I'm going to be honest. 5 women that I know personally of different ages took it. 4 of them said incredible energy, libido, harder workouts, give me more. One of them's only been on it 3 days. She says that it's made her want to take a nap. And you're going to talk to her and find out what else she's doing. Briefly, what could that be, Dr. Group?
Well, that's exactly what you have to do. You have to figure out what she has, what her diet's like, what she's exposing herself to. You know, there's obviously it might actually take longer than 3 days. I mean, I've had it with our results up to 10 days.
Sometimes. Well, you warned within 2 weeks to 4 weeks I would get sick on Survival Shield when I detoxed. That indeed happened for about a week, and then it was like going through a wall. I felt great after it.
Right, when all those, when all the chlorine and the fluoride and the bromine and all that other stuff is coming out of your system. So, I mean, it could be anything. I mean, I would definitely not make any type of generalization until they've been on it for 7 to 10 days. I mean,
yeah, consult your healthcare provider as well. Let's go to Amy Steiner. Amy, literally, I didn't even know you got a bottle of this, that Shane took some a month and a half ago. I learned about it last week, that you were bouncing off the walls from it, from what I heard. Tell us, and I appreciate you giving us a review, what happened now that you've been on the Super Feminine Vitality?
Well, my husband started taking it, and I was super impressed with the effects that it had on him. So
you're talking about the male vitality, the male vitality.
Yeah, the male vitality. So I took the male vitality a couple of times, and I had energy and everything, but when he brought me home the bottle of Super Female, I mean, after about 3 or 4 days, I mean, I'm normally a pretty groggy person, having drank a bunch of coffee and stuff like that, but I had tons of energy, tons of motivation, a lot of drive, you know, at the gym. I think, well, my husband thinks I've been in a better mood.
And he says you've been chasing him around the house?
Well,
I mean, to make him do chores, I mean.
Oh, yeah. No, honestly, though, my libido is skyrocketed, honestly. It's pretty crazy. The Super Male didn't do that to me, but the Super Female, there's something different about that is really, our relationship, all I can say is it's a lot better now.
And again, Shane ended up, you know, testing it out because he's like, oh, yeah, supplements, right. You know, I've tried all the male supplements. We're like, here, just take a couple bottles. He comes back weeks later, I got to have more of that. You know, now my dad's doing it, blah, blah, blah. What's in that? You know, his trainer loves it. And then I guess he got some of the tester bottles that I was giving to women I know, you know, like, let's see how good this really is, you know, because I test everything. And Shane's like, I need more of that. So, Amy, what would you say just in one sentence about Super Feminine Vitality?
I would say that I'm so glad that you guys made this for women. It's really helped me, you know, around the house, taking care of my kids. I'm in the best shape of my life. You know, I've just got tons of energy, and I just feel great. And I'm really glad you guys made it for women.
Well, you're awesome, and I appreciate you doing this impromptu endorsement. Maybe if Shane gives us a few photos, we can show people what we're talking about here. But, Amy, you sure are a sweetheart. Always enjoy seeing you and Shane and the kids. I got to come over with the kids soon. Thank you for that testimony.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
She's such a sweetheart. We'll be back. Stay with us. The Estrogen Conspiracy in Bilderberg. It's all coming up. Dr. Group leaves us in about 15 minutes, and we're going to have live coverage from Bilderberg. The reporters trying to go back in on video feeds and audio feeds. But finishing up on the Super Female Vitality and the list of things of how they're targeting women. And I want to get back briefly into X, too, because where it comes from, why it's so special. I mean, I really get excited about this. It doesn't just fund their operation, which gets the word out on all the fronts. They really know iodine's key to produce all our hormones. They've been blocking it. And as the word about this gets out, I mean, this is serious blow against the globalists.
Especially with Fukushima and everything like that, too. When I looked at all the minerals, like I said, I believe that everybody has a self-healing mechanism, and all you have to do is clean your body. And that's really the secret to having perfect health, is just your body being clean. But when I started unfolding this whole iodine conspiracy and the fact that every single cell in your body needs iodine, and you need 20 to, let's say, 50 milligrams, which is 20,000 micrograms to 50,000 micrograms of iodine a day, and that everything depends on it, all your glandular system, everything. And then you start looking at the whole estrogen and all the other chemicals that are destroying the body at the same time and how it all works together. That's really one of the first things that I came out with, is saying, hey, listen, this is so important that everybody needs it. It's not like, hey, go take calcium, you know, half the people need it, half the people don't need it, or go take B vitamins or any type of those other minerals. Iodine is something that every single person needs. And if you're deficient in it, look at the children. You were talking about pregnancy and women. Women that are deficient in iodine during pregnancy, what are the symptoms? What happens to that baby? Mental retardation. I mean, they're attacking the brain and everything.
Spinal bifida.
Mental retardation, lower IQ.
I was reading it causes spinal development problems.
Well, of course, because iodine is needed in all of the reproductive system.
But they don't tell women you need that. You need flu shots.
Well, yeah, I mean, of course, they're not going to tell you that you need iodine, but out of every single thing out there, I mean, if you look at iodine, you can just automatically tell that there's a conspiracy going on because of the fact that look at the other halogens: fluoride, chlorine, and bromide or bromine.
They're assaulting us with stuff that's poisonous,
so they
while removing the good.
They assault us with chlorine, they assault us with fluorine or fluoride or compounds, and they assault us with bromine or bromide everywhere you turn. So those will still block the absorption of iodine in the body, and estrogen dominance blocks the absorption of iodine in the body. And getting back to the super female vitality, oh my gosh, I've got guys calling me up that they're like, this stuff is amazing. My wife is calm. I don't have get in fights with her anymore. Her libido is through the roof. You know, think about how many marriages, you know, you might save. I mean, I had one guy talking about, hey, my wife was reading that 50 Shades book and all that stuff, and my marriage is better now than it's been in the last 15 years, you know, with me taking the super male and her taking the super female vitality. The fact is, when you can, you know, the globalists trying to break everybody apart. So the solution is avoid all the things that they're doing and get your body back into shape and start balancing out everything.
They say get fluoride, don't get iodine. We want iodine.
Whatever
they say turn your guns in, we get guns.
Exactly.
Yeah, no, it's real simple.
So by taking a supplement, you know, ultimately in eliminating all these sources and doing your own research and educating yourself, you know, hey, that's going to create a. But
I mean, listen, the products you develop for InfoWarsLife.com are revolutionary. I mean, they just blow anything I've taken away, and I still look like hell, but I look a lot better than I looked just 6 months ago, and I'm working harder and playing harder than I ever have. And I'm telling you, when I need energy, when I need focus, it is Super Male Vitality, Survival Shield. Now I've got X2 Survival Shield, InfoWarsLife.com. I want to come back and finish up with how you produce X2, the latest product from InfoWarsLife.com, then live reports from Bilderberg 2014. Here's the Newsmax article from a couple days ago. Pregnant women should take iodine supplements, but not all iodine supplements are equal. We have had the best, the Survival Shield. We're going to keep selling it. It's excellent. Comes from the same great source, but now we have it even stronger in a new process that if you like the old Survival Shield, still available at InfoWarsLife.com, you're going to love the new Survival Shield X2. And it can all work together with the Fluoride Shield that has the nascent iodine and 5 other chelating properties, not just for fluoride detox, but other toxins. And then you're funding the very tip of the spear in the info war. Be sure and support our local AM and FM affiliates and their sponsors as well. Dr. Group's only got 5 minutes left with us. Then we're going to go to Copenhagen, Denmark, with our reporters about to try to go into the Bilderberg Hotel where the globalists are meeting. But going back to Dr. Edward Group, finishing up with how you produce the new X2 and why it's so much more powerful than the last one.
Well, it is, you know, like you said, it is all about supporting the Patriot movement. And, you know, these are the people that are aware of the need for iodine. And so the X2, the reason why it's different from the standard Survival Shield is almost double the strength. It's actually 650 micrograms per drop. So it gives you a lot more bang for your buck. And it's actually, you know, fairly right at the same price. When we get the crystals from deep in the earth, it goes through a process. It takes about probably a week to 2 weeks, and that purification process purifies the crystals to 99.99% pure. That is unheard of. Then we get the crystals in our facility, and they go through a process of stabilizing the crystals and actually infusing them into a vegetable glycerin matrix in a nascent form, which means they're active or they're monatomic. They're an atomic iodine form, and it actually becomes stabilized in that form.
That's the difference. It's so bioavailable, it goes right into the blood. Because all I know is with the alcohol-based, these other systems, we've called the companies, they go, oh, we just dump regular old iodine into this and just stir it with a spoon.
Yeah, well, you know what? Iodine is very caustic, too. So you have to have all glass equipment, or it has to be silicone platinum tubing. I mean, the equipment involved alone to keep it all non-toxic. A lot of companies out there aren't going to put that much money into their equipment and their supplies, and they're going to run it through stainless steel, or they're going to run it through metal or aluminum or anything like that might contaminate the product in the end and make it. See, in a nascent form, you got to make sure that it doesn't come in contact with a lot of things because you'll lose that charge. So the whole purpose of doing it all in glass is that it's not going to come in contact with metal, or it's not going to bond to anything.
How long do you think the new X2 lasts?
The X2, I don't know, because we just came up with it. So, you know,
but like you said, like a fine wine, I've noticed the super male and stuff seems to get better with time. But if this has a charge, does it get least good with time?
Well, iodine there's no way to stop iodine, no matter what kind of iodine product you have, from gassing out. I mean, that's just the way it is. I mean, we try to do it the best to where, you know, any other product out there that's in an alcohol base or anything like that, probably after 2 years, you're going to lose half the strength. We haven't tested the X2 yet, obviously, because it just came out. But it's always best to take iodine, you know, since you need it really every day or every other day. You know, I take it pretty much every single day. I give it to my kids. I just know the importance of it. I mean, you can pull up tons of research and videos online on YouTube and on Google about the importance of iodine. You know, that's why they took it out of the food supply. And right now, really, the only pure grade and the highest grade source is the X2. You cannot find anywhere in the world. There is no other place that's producing, or that's going to even take the time and the effort to produce a high-quality iodine like this is right here.
It's coming right out of the ancient deposits. Do we know, getting at 7,000 to 12,000 feet, do the geologists think they know how it got deposited? Was it volcanic? Was it oceans?
It was an ocean. It's a salt ocean deposit from millions and millions and millions of years.
So it's an alluvial plume.
It's an alluvial plume, and it's the highest concentration, and it's actually located in the United States, so fairly in the middle of the United States. So it's really...
So that ancient sea.
You know, back then when it was just pure. Now all the other iodine companies out there are getting their sources from actually China and Japan.
Well, and we're not knocking the other competition. It's just that this is so good, and you're really getting something. How old do they think it is?
What, the deposit?
Yes.
Millions of years, like 200 million, 300 million years old.
Unbelievable.
Something like that. And so here you have, but think about all the, I'm not knocking other iodine products. You know, look, a tricycle will get you to where you want to go, but so will a Bentley. You know, this is the difference between something that is extremely good for you and something that might, you know, still put iodine in your system, but it's all about the best is the best, you know, and that's what I'm all about. I don't want to give anybody something that's not, that their body's going to have to break down.
And this product is a lower price than the other leading competitors, and there's just no comparison.
Oh, there's no way you can get this. This is the highest concentration per drop of any iodine out there, except for Lugol's, but Lugol's is a potassium iodide. There is no nascent iodine formula on the market that goes over 500 micrograms per drop. This is 650 micrograms per drop.
Well, I am just so blessed, and thank God and all our supporters, the fact that you work exclusively with InfoWars, life.com, and are advising us, and we've just getting nothing but rave reviews on all the products. One sleepy review on the super feminine vitality. I'm going to have you talk to that person and find out what they may be on that's causing that. But just great job. Dr. Edward Group from the Global Healing Center. This is all available on InfoWarsLife.com. I hope you'll go tape some more informative pieces for folks as well that we can dole out over the next week or so. Thank you, Dr. Group.
Thanks for having me on.
Simply amazing. There goes Dr. Edward Group. 2 new products, and this is a big deal, folks. We are not like NPR. As I say ad nauseum, we do not get $400+ million a year in taxpayer money and then still beg for money every day like they do. We do not get billions of dollars like NBC and MSNBC have gotten over the years in stimulus money and bailouts. We just sell high-quality products, and if you think they're interesting and want to buy them, get them. That funds our operations so we can send reporters to FEMA camps in Virginia and to go out and expose the radiation on the West Coast that then made the Navy and mainstream news cover it, and they had to admit it was increasing. And we send reporters to Copenhagen, Denmark to cover the Bilderberg group meeting so it gets international attention. And we cover real news. We go out and cover the Bundy ranch standoff and show the Fed stand down with the only HD footage that went out of that. I mean, that's why we're needed. And so that's why we sell books and videos and T-shirts and supplements is whatever we think's good and people want, we will sell it to fund this operation. We're good old-fashioned Americana, making money the old-fashioned way, earning it, promoting high-quality products. And we're proud of the products, and we're proud of the family we've built, and we're proud of what we do here. So thank you all for your support, all of you that buy the great products at InfoWarsLife.com. There's also some other great supplements we have from longevity at InfoWarsHealth.com, and you can get free auto shipping there when you sign up for auto ship. That's a big deal with some of the other great products like Beyond Tangy Tangerine and others at InfoWarsHealth.com. But that's the longevity family of products, but purchasing it there gets you discounts and supports the transmission as well. Now, we take you now to the globalist confab where they've already arrested reporters and thrown people out. Watson witnessed that and got out yesterday. Now David Knight and others, Josh Owens, have arrived. We're going to talk to them for a few minutes here, go to break, and then have them march up. But Paul Watson is there with David Knight and Josh Owens. And our other reporter we're keeping in reserve in case folks get arrested. David, I know you had trouble getting there. I know that your bags disappeared. They wouldn't give you a rent car. Looks like classic manipulation. We've seen this ourselves. But you're there. David, tell us about your first approximation and what you're about to do.
Well, it's been quite a trip, Alex. We had our flights canceled because of bad weather, and then we were delayed over 3 hours going out of Washington because of weather. That caused us to miss our London flight. Our luggage got messed up. So we've only been here just a couple of minutes. As soon as we were able to get our rental car, because that got canceled from the States, they said somehow. So that took a little bit longer. Once we got that, we just drove straight out here, and we've been standing on the street corner about 2 blocks away from the Marriott right now, waiting to get on air.
Well, we're going to go to break in about a minute, and I want you to just start walking on down towards there. And I don't want you to get arrested. Do whatever you feel is best. I don't want you to get arrested like you did for 3 hours at the military base 2 weeks ago or a week and a half ago. Out of the fire.
Can I show you this?
Sure.
This is the Daily Mail. We were stuck in London for a while. See that guy with the tears in his eyes? That's the guy who was debating Nigel Farage on joining the European Union, for Britain to join.
And the headline is, obliterated in Europe, facing mutiny in his party, and polls show Clegg will lose his seat in general election. The Libertarian Tea Party is taking over Europe. Isn't it beautiful?
That's right. And that's a rejection of what Bilderberg created here almost 60 years ago. The first meeting was 60 years ago, and on the second meeting, that was when they bragged that they created the European Union and the EU. Now, the people here in Denmark were one of the first countries to join the European Union, the first Scandinavian country, but they rejected joining, getting into the euro. And so they have their own separate currency, just like they do in Great Britain. So people are waking up, even here in Denmark, where they were all on board with a globalist agenda. They woke up. They didn't get on board with the euro either.
Very well said. Show us that newspaper one more time. He's literally crying on the cover of the Daily Mail newspaper, and it says, the face of a leader at bay.
They lost every one of their seats going to the European Parliament, and they did a poll, and they said that had the election today, he would lose his seat in the House of Commons. This is a guy who, a couple of years ago, they had the Conservatives and the Labour Party. Of course, they're like Republican Democrats in the U.S. They don't let anybody else into the debates. They let him in the debates. We found out later why, because he was the biggest cheerleader for the EU. And
exactly, which is dictatorial and unelected and has brought England under it. And let's be clear who they lost their seats to. UKIP, folks, it's like Ron Paul. We are literally the resistance. We'll be right back from Bilderberg. All right, David Knight's still got about a block and a half to walk till he gets up to the perimeter of the hotel where the Bilderberg group has already kicked everybody out, arrested reporters yesterday. We have video of that at Infowars.com. Then in the next long segment, he's going to march right up with live feed with Josh Owens, Paul Watson at a distance in case they grab him, to go up and just say, we have reservations here. Why can't we come in? Well, why all the secrecy? I mean, I thought Bilderberg didn't exist, or a bunch of world leaders meeting in secret. What's the big deal? So that's coming up. But, David, I want to give you the floor in this short 6-minute segment to keep making the point you were making about their open agenda of authoritarianism and the fact that all over France and Germany and the EU-wide and England, people are rejecting. One of the longest-serving Republicans in Congress was just defeated in the primary to a Tea Partier yesterday here in Texas. I mean, worldwide, we've gotten this from inside sources, Bilderberg is scared to death of the libertarian movement. Even the Financial Times of London said that a month ago.
Yeah, absolutely, Alex. You know, what they do is they use the same kind of smear tactics over here in Europe. that they do in America. They're calling Nigel Farage racist, xenophobic, anti-immigrant party. But, they really took a shellacking, and here's a picture of Nigel Farage. He's celebrating, had a huge victory in the European Parliament. And, of course, many people, we've had Nigel Farage on InfoWars many times. You've talked to him, and everybody knows the videos where he's kind of harangued Herman von Rompuy and called him somebody with the demeanor of a third-rate bank clerk. But also he criticized them for deposing democratically elected people in Italy and in Greece and then putting in bankers, technocrats. These are the people, this is even the terminology that Bilderberg came up with, saying that we're going to get rid of politicians and we're going to get rid of Democrats. We're going to put in technocrats. We're going to put our own people in. And we've had David Rockefeller talking about how he wanted a supranational elite who were going to join with bankers to essentially control the governments of the world, a one-world government. That's their language. And we've seen that happening in Europe. And people now are rejecting that by large margins, especially in England.
By the way, David Knight, reporting from Copenhagen, Denmark, Bilderberg 2014, if you just joined us, I'm Alex Jones. Are you in the Omega Man or the I Am Legend or Last Man on Earth with Vincent Price? You've been on street after street. I've seen no cars, no people in the government sector of Copenhagen, Denmark. What is going on?
Well, this is about 7 p.m., a little after 7 p.m. here. It's a very, very empty city right now at this point. Nobody's here. I don't know if everybody's gone home for the day, if this is the government sector, like you said, and everybody closed at 5 o'clock. But, yeah, we are sticking out like sore thumbs because we're the only people out here. It's almost as deserted as the fake city back in AP Hill.
That's right. I wonder, what do you think is going to happen as you get ready to march up there during the break? Now, don't go up till we get back on air next segment, but what does your gut tell you is going to happen when you march up there? And did you get any questions at customs?
No, nothing at customs. But while we were staying on the street corner, we had a guy come up. He paused for a while, and then he backed into the space, left his car lights on and his engine running for quite a while, about 2 or 3 spaces down from where we were at the corner up there. He's still in the car. He did not get out. He's rolled his window down. And then we had some marked police car came up and paused and looked at us for a while. So even though we were a couple of blocks away, I think they've got our number because, like you said, this place is a ghost town at this point in time. I guess as we said before, probably people have gone home for the day. It's a downtown where there apparently, at least in this area, there's not much nightlife.
I finally see a few people down there, I guess, on that main street you're about to be on. So how far away are you from the hotel right now?
It's just down at the end of the street down here. You want us to walk down there?
Yeah, let's get you to go ahead and start walking that way a little bit and then pause. And then we're going to have you walk across the street and go up and try to talk to them once you get there. And, like I said, when they act all like you're a criminal, just say, hey, I have a reservation here. I want to cover the Bilderberg. And, we have a right to know what goes on at these meetings and point out that in England it's illegal to set policy with government officials in a secret meeting, ask them if they have laws like that in Copenhagen. And then when the local security threatens to arrest you, you say, well, I'd like to talk to the police. And just don't push past them and just illustrate everything for folks. And then maybe we'll get more of a tour of the waterfront and stuff. Again, if you're a radio listener, we have free video feeds at Infowars.com/show, or you can be a PrisonPlanet.tv subscriber and get the HD version of the nightly news and so much more. And, go ahead, David. What were you saying? Yes?
If you see this right here, according to the shots that Watson had, I believe this is the staging area where they have that they've set aside directly across from.
Yeah, that's the free speech zone.
Yeah, that's the free speech zone, exactly. And I don't know, all I see is a bunch of red and blue signs with X's on them, so I don't know what that's saying because it's not in English.
Well, they've got the trash cans ready and everything. No, that Watson said that's the free speech zone. We've got a report on that on Infowars.com.
Yeah.
Keep getting photos. We'll put it out on The Real Alex Jones on Twitter as well. Live feed from Europe, Copenhagen, Bilderberg 2014. We're going in next.
We're on the
Stay
march.
The system wants to know everything about us, but they want to be secretive. They want to spy on us with all their NSA grids, tell us we have no rights, put us in free speech zones, and tell us there's no world government, there's no man behind the curtain, there's no special interest. Well, we got news for them. We are exposing the Bilderberg Group 2014 that they said didn't exist. And it is now mainstream news because of the work of the real media. If CNN and MSNBC want to know why they're imploding, look in the mirror. We're exploding, they're imploding, because we think people want to know about 150 world leaders and royalty meeting in secret. That folks don't want to know about Kim Kardashian's baby. Yeah, maybe idiots that are unsuccessful want to know about that, about somebody else's life, somebody else's baby. We want to know about how the world really works. We don't want special interest trying to set up a nightmare planet for us, for their power at our expense. We want to control our own destiny. David Knight, Josh Owens on camera, and Paul Watson, who I've told to loiter back in case they nab our people, and another auxiliary reporter, are there right now in Copenhagen, Denmark, at the free speech zones, about to march over to the site of Bilderberg where they've already taken over and arrested people yesterday and thrown folks out. David Knight, go ahead and take over the live feed and just go up and talk to him. You've got the control tower here. Go ahead.
Well, you know, Alex, as you were just saying, they want to know everything about us, but we're not allowed to know anything about them. They meet in secret. They violate ethics and sunshine laws that governments all over the world have. And this is another picture here. Take a look at, you talked about this free speech zone that they've created here. It's like a prison. So we get behind bars, we get in our cages, and if we're lucky, we can look across the street at the luxurious hotel where the royalty and the international elite are meeting to plan the future of world government. That's what's going on here. And I mean, it's a pretty powerful image when you look at this large parking lot they've created here with temporary supports down here at the bottom, and then they've got these cages up here. So they're going to put us all as a giant free speech cage. It's what they do everywhere. It's what they did out in Nevada. They created a free speech area and a First Amendment area. That's one of the first things that the bureaucracy was inclined to do. And it was very small compared to this, but exactly the same sort of thing. Somebody went by there and they put up a handwritten sign that said the First Amendment is not an area. Yeah. And that's their instinct. They always want to shut down free speech, and they want to know everything about us, but we're not allowed to know anything about them. Now, we're trying to find a place to cross over.
And David, notice it's a continuity of agenda worldwide, the same laws, the same free speech zones, the same uniforms. This is global continuity of agenda standardization. Yes, exactly. And I haven't seen the complete, because we were in planes, I haven't been able to get the full Bilderberg attendees list, but I believe that Palantir is there again this year. They had a lot of computer people there last year. Oh, yeah, they've got all the Snoopies. They've got all the Snoop people there, yeah. That's right. I'm sure it's going to be on the agenda to, how they're going to handle all these NSA leaks. And I'm sure that they want to talk to Keith Alexander, who's going to be there. Now, of course, he went there even when he was head of the NSA. He was going to Bilderberg. This agency that before Snowden was so secretive that everybody was joking that NSA meant no such agency. And even though they were saying that it was going to compromise U.S. security for him to even acknowledge the existence of this agency, he was going to Bilderberg and meeting with them privately. So, how do they justify that sort of thing? I hear you. When you get there, they've got barricades and fences put up now. Take a rest for a minute or two so you're not winded once you get up to their main entrance. And well, they've got it completely blocked off so that we can't get in. They put barricades up, and as you can see right now, they're putting barricades. No, go down to the end of the barricade. Sure. Go down to the end of the barricade. Go down to the end of the barricade. Find where the police checkpoint is and talk to them. Yeah. Or do whatever you think's best. What do you want to do, David? Yeah, we'll go down this way, but we got to get over. Let's get back over the median because we got to go around this truck anyway. I don't get run over. So as you can see, here with this truck, they're setting these concrete barricades down right now and completely barricading it off because they'll be arriving tomorrow, Bilderberg Group. Then I guess they want to have you across the street where you can't even, across 4 lanes of traffic where you can't get a good shot of who's in the cars when they come in. That's right. That's right. It'll be 4 lanes of traffic. They've got concrete barricades on the free speech zone side and then concrete barricades over here. But, of course, this is nothing that anybody should be concerned about, right? Guaranteed it's paid for by taxpayers, just like England. All right, you can still get in, though. There you go. There's the entrance right there. The entrance to Mordor. David, you'll find David Rockefeller in there.
Yep, that's Marriott. There's a guy there in a suit. He's walking around. I think he's going to come over and talk to us.
Now, again, in a free society, it'd be totally normal to want to know what's going on at this.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, this is more important than Davos in their own words. And here we go.
Can you get a shot over there?
Yeah, take your time. Stop and get some shots before they throw you out of there.
Take a look at that. That's what it. So this, yeah, this is the Bilderberg eye view. This is what they're going to be seeing of us, I guess, with people over there.
Yeah, so it looks like the free speech zone's a good 100 yards away.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It's across a 4-lane highway, and then they've got a very large parking lot with wires around it.
I think that modern architecture is so ugly.
Yep. Okay, we're going to go through the revolving door here.
All right, now, take it easy, because if the signal cuts, I want you to come back out of the signal cuts. I'm going to tell you, so then come out. I don't want. Okay, here we go. Good job.
We've got reservations here. We have to go through a metal detector to get in, or
only if you have a like this, you can.
How do we get a reservation? I mean, how do we check in?
You have to, yeah, the hotel. So press from the hotel.
I can't.
Yeah.
Oh, we're live on the air.
Yeah.
We're on a radio station.
Yeah, we're on a radio station. We had reservations. We were delayed, so we didn't get in last night.
Have reservations. This is a private.
No, I had reservations for Monday and for Tuesday.
Yeah, I suggest you call the hotel.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
Best you can do.
All right.
Ask them for their press representative.
Do you have a press representative here?
The hotel have.
How do I get in touch with the hotel? I mean, I'm at the hotel. Hi. How you doing?
Hi.
David Knight.
Hi.
We have a reservation here for Monday night and Tuesday night. We were delayed with weather, so we didn't get in until today.
Okay.
So I was wondering, how do we check in?
Well, you cannot check in because the hotel is closed now. So you need to call the hotel on their phone and then tell them what kind of message you have.
Okay. All right. So they canceled our reservation for Tuesday. I guess.
Ask them how long Bilderberg's going to be there.
Private event, so I don't have anything to do, so you have to call.
Okay, so do you know how long Bilderberg's going to be here, or you don't know?
No.
Okay. Are you guys, are you private or security, or are you this? Okay, all right.
So I have to say that you need to call Marriott Hotel by the phone and ask them about your reservation.
Ask him his name.
Could I get your name?
No.
Okay, no? Okay. All right. He doesn't want to give me his name. Okay, all right. Okay.
Try to look at his badge.
Thank you for stopping by.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. His badge just says Copenhagen 2014. So.
Ask him what the metal detector's for. Is there an airport in there?
Yeah.
Tell him we're going to leave. Tell him you're going to leave. Just have a few more questions.
Any dangers of the metal detector? No, there's nothing. Could you ask it to me? Oh, it's nothing?
All right, go ahead and go. He asked you to leave. Tell him thanks.
Go. All right. Thank you.
For stopping by.
He thanked us for stopping by.
Oh, boy.
You saw the metal detector the whole bit, so.
Well, again, the whole point, the reason we're doing this.
They said that it's now private. It is completely cordoned off. I mean, you walk in and it is like it's like a Danish TSA. Actually, these guys look much better than TSA.
Well, listen, David, again, for new listeners, the reason we're covering this is they said this didn't exist for decades. They made fun of it. Now they're in the news admitting they run things, but we're kooks to not like it. The EU's imploding. No one wants to be part of it, so they're starting wars in places like Ukraine to try to keep it expanding. This is the tyrants. These are the people taking our liberties. Why don't you march down and try to go to the waterfront now and give us a view of the back? And then if they come over and tell you to leave again, say, oh, we left the inside. Do you want us to leave the grounds entirely? And then say yes and then leave. But I think they're going to be nice to you as long as you're gentlemanly. Our goal is to not get you arrested. Yeah. So, or David, take whatever initiative you want. What do you want to do next? What do you want to do next, David?
We'll walk down here and look at the side here. I'm not sure what's around the corner. I guess we just drove straight here from the airport.
There's
just
water.
Made it here.
There's water.
So we can take a look at what's down here. But it looks like this is amazing, Alex. Look at this. They've got concrete barricades here, plus metal barricades on top of the concrete where you used to be able to walk out and see the water here. They've got that all barricaded off. So that's all barricaded all the way down there. They've made it like a prison here. Truly amazing here.
I bet they haven't completed it yet. Here, let's walk down to the end there.
Yeah. So, yeah, he had on his badge, there's no names on the badges. Everybody's in very nice suits, and it just said Copenhagen 2014. So maybe they're Bilderberg's private security. I wonder how much is being paid for by Bilderberg and how much is being paid for by the people of Copenhagen.
Let's go out on that pier, because I'm telling if it's walkable, or is that a dam? No, that's a pier. I'm telling you.
That blocked off. They got that blocked off from the Bilderberg side. You see right here, they put concrete barricades here. And they've really barricaded this place. Look at this.
It looks like that's public. But you'll have to go out and go around it then. That's outrageous. Well, David, you're there. What do you make of all this? Yeah, well, we lost his feed. Let's go ahead and reconnect with those guys. Good job, crew. And again, folks, for you that know all about this, you're like, okay, yeah, we're there. No, we have to go show the public this is real. And we've been doing that. And they were freaking out when we had like 4,000 people at one time, 4,000, to hear me speak there at Bilderberg last year in England, in Watford. The police were on our side. They were angry about what's going on. People know they're being screwed over. This is the group. And you can send your suggestions to showtips@infowars.com. I plan, if we can continue to be able to capitalize our operation, get enough money, I plan on getting probably 6 more reporters to where I will always have reporters 6, 7 days a week. We'll be somewhere in the U.S. or in the world bringing you UN meetings, bringing you globalist operations, bringing you resistance movements. I'm even hiring folks like Joe Biggs and people, Staff Sergeant, who are ready to go to war zones. So,
is that military? Is that police? Look at that. Is that a cop?
David, tell us what you're seeing.
Looks like there's somebody. I can't see from here if that's police or if it's a police boat or if that's just an individual out there.
I think that's a police boat.
Yeah, they're driving like it is. They slowed down, took a look at us. They've got everything barricaded with concrete and metal fences up above that. It's pretty amazing around here. This across the way here, it's very beautiful. There's a lot of older buildings, and of course on this side we've got the glass structure. Oh, look at the chef up there with his big hat. They're preparing the fine food for the Bilderbergers.
Yeah, let's stop. Let's get some footage of that chef. Go over to the glass.
Yeah. Put it right up against the window. Put it against the window, right against the glass.
Yeah, the chef's up above.
she's smiling. Yeah, put it right against the glass.
Yeah, the chef's up there.
Yeah.
Maybe back up 20 feet where you were at and you can get a shot. There you go.
Yeah. Can you guys see him?
Yeah, so again, they don't want us looking in. We're looking in. We're investigating like media is supposed to do.
Yep. Let's see if we can see something in some of these other windows a little bit further down here, this area.
And again, folks, this is what your PrisonPlanet.tv subscriptions are paying for. We can go stick cameras in the windows. That's a guy. That's a guy doing bookkeeping. Hey, I bet that guy's got badges and stuff and names, itinerary. You ought to go back and stick a camera in there.
Hey, good to see you. Well, we're just joined by Paul Joseph Watson.
Hello. You been in?
We're just no. Yeah, we went in the front. Yeah.
Who else is with? Who else is with Watson? Give us a pan of the crew.
Sorry, what?
Who else is with you? How are you guys doing?
Yeah.
Some of the other folks.
Julia. Julia. Hi. This is Julia with us, and Paul Joseph Watson.
Hey, Watson.
So you were inside.
Give us your take on what's going on. Yeah.
Yeah. Give us your take on what's going on.
I can't hear what he's saying, but yeah, we just came up here to meet David for the first time. And there are some people across the other side of the street getting harassed by police because they were filming, but we've probably seen at least a dozen people just walking back and forth filming, which is strange because yesterday, even if you weren't filming, if you just were carrying a camera in the vicinity, they would come up and harass you and chase you off, basically. But it seems to have changed now, because now there are a dozen or so people walking around. It seems to be.
Well, when we walked in the main lobby, they've now got it set up like you're going into an airport. So they've got metal detectors and the whole thing barricaded off. And we said, well, we got reservations here. We'd like to, how do we get in touch with anybody? You have to call the hotel. This is a private party now.
Really?
Yeah.
I'm surprised it's not completely blocked off, because obviously we were due to stay there last night. They kicked us out before that. So I thought they would seal it off this morning when all the other guests checked out. But obviously they've relented again because of their stupid mistake of causing incidents that blow up in their faces, like the arrest incident last night. So
yeah,
they always seem to change tack when the light of publicity is shined on them.
Watson, who are the Fräuleins that you're with? Are they locals? I want to get their take on Bilderberg. I think their video froze again. Ask them who some of the activists are they've run into, and see if those young ladies want to say a word or two about what they think that's going on. Again, Skype is breaking up. Hey, that's the technology, ladies and gentlemen.
Tell us what happened with your experience when you were harassed for the first time.
As soon as I set foot on here, you went to meet somebody. I just sat outside of the hotel, and yes.
Do we need permission to film?
Tell him you're just on the waterfront. Why is he filming you?
Yeah.
Are you here? Are you staying in the hotel? Or?
We were staying there last night.
Yeah. You been here?
Last night? Last night, yeah.
Tell him you already talked to... Skip the break. Look at this guy.
We went in to try and get reservations tonight.
Yeah. And who are you?
I'm the field service here.
Okay.
Tell him he already talked to the real security up front.
Yeah. We just went in and talked to the people up front where they've got the airport security.
He interrupted your interview. We're skipping the network break.
We just wanted to see what it looks like back here.
Okay, so I will inform them. So
yeah, go inform them.
Check behind.
Look at that little police state guy.
I want to know too. Filming here.
And I guarantee you that guy comes from a third world country.
Okay, this is like a hotel.
Where you'd be arrested.
If anybody's ever filmed the backside of this, I mean, I imagine a lot of people.
No, everyone's evil that films. Ask him where he's from. Ask him where he's from.
Yeah. So where are you from?
I'm from hotel.
No. What country? What country are you from?
Here in Denmark?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, he says he's here.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, look at him, total power trip. Notice how the real Bilderberg security were like being gentlemanly. They didn't want a scene. That guy wants to act like a secret police agent. Anyways, finish our interview with the woman. Let her finish.
I didn't have my cap off. I had my camera in my hands. I had it like this, sitting down, just looking around. Someone came up to me immediately, said, "What are you doing here? Meeting a friend. What's your friend's name?" I said a fake first name. What's her last name? Like, why are you talking to me? He's like, "You're not allowed to film here." I'm not filming here. I'm taking my camera.
Tell him go to hell.
You're not allowed to be here. Excuse me. I mean, I look very threatening, obviously. No. Secret police is about making you feel bad.
Yeah, it is threatening for them to get their picture taken. They're supposed to be completely anonymous, completely private, but they are supposed to know everything about us.
As soon as they see any camera, I guess, I wasn't even holding my hand. Like, why do you have a camera? Like, I like to take pictures, actually. Yeah, pictures are pretty, aren't they?
And I think this is another, is this more security out? I think this is more security out here. Is that more security? Can you tell?
Interview the other activist lady. Interview the other lady and find out what happened to her.
Well, this other lady right here is Karen.
Hi. It's interesting. Before you came up and went in to talk to the people in the Marriott, there were two gentlemen across the street, and they were filming and talking about it, and the police came. And the local police came and got their addresses and all their vital information. So I was assuming you would be stuck with that same situation.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on. I mean, we've kind of gotten the pass so far, but I guess that guy's going to be coming back. He wants us to stay here.
It's
so
because you look distinguished. I'm telling you, it's Europe, man. You look. Yeah.
I guess we should just go. I don't know. But, yeah, it's really pretty here. And I guess they're really paranoid about people taking the back of the Marriott. I mean, how many tens of thousands of people have stayed at the Marriott and taken pictures of this very
we've looked it up
here.
online. That's a public causeway. That's a public boardwalk right there. And they're blocking a public commons and trying to tell you can't be behind.
Hey, Alex, right now they're putting up some kind of film right behind us on the window, I guess, to keep people from being able to look in.
That's newsworthy that they're putting up. The Bilderberg is blacking out windows to stop the press. That is important.
Yeah, that's what they're putting. So it's kind of a blurring film. What it is, it's transparent, but it's blurring it. It's kind of a clean film.
They're not hiding anything inside, folks.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
Is Josh shooting this in HD?
Are you shooting this in HD? No, we're just streaming it right now.
Make sure we get HD of all this stuff as well.
Yeah, we will. It's just that we were racing to try to get here and try.
No, you're doing a great job. You're doing a great job. Just you're not going to get this after tonight. I mean, they're shutting it down right now. That barricade will probably be closed in about 20 minutes.
Yeah. So they're putting film up so people can't get any shots, I guess, from a distance. Even though, can anybody get up there on those walkways over there? Okay, so I guess that's what they're afraid of. I guess they're afraid somebody's going to walk out there on those walkways there with a long lens and get a glimpse of somebody.
Hey, guys, I'm telling you right now, you need to get some high-def shots of them putting that film up. That is newsworthy, that they're blacking the windows out for Bilderberg.
Yeah.
A picture tells 1,000 words.
Can you get some high-def shots of them putting this stuff up?
Yeah, video. This is sensational. That needs to go up on YouTube. That's newsworthy right now. And then you guys need to go ahead and get out of there before they... I mean, that truck was almost done and closing it down, and I think you should get out of there in the next 5 minutes or so, because we're going to be ending this show. Who's getting the HD right now?
Right now, I'm sorry, what's your name?
Julia from Brave the World.
Julia's getting some HD. Are you getting stills or are you getting a video?
Just video.
Okay.
I mean,
I'm just saying, our crew, we have a rig that shoots HD and video.
Hardly getting.
Yeah.
I'm pointing my camera at it, and you can't really see through it. It's too reflective anyways. So they're going to put an extent to make it less transparent.
That's her point, is that they've already got a pretty reflective window here. And
just have Watson shoot HD video with his iPhone. Okay, it's like I'm like directing this from the U.S.
Yeah, we're getting it with the iPhone as well.
It's sensational. I want to get that out on YouTube right now. In fact, I want you guys to stop for a minute. Shoot a report talking about that, David, with the live stream on you and with Watson getting it. Start a new video. Shoot a report about them literally blacking out the truth, blacking out the windows. Talk about meeting in a dark room. This is it. The global government meeting, the criminal EU meeting. We're on the march. They're on the run. Give us a report, David Knight.
Okay. Can we do it right now, or you want us to break off the broadcast?
No, I want to get it all right now. That's why we're there, is to get this. That's a big deal, them doing that.
Well, here we are. We're back in the back of the Marriott here in Copenhagen, where they're going to have the Bilderberg meeting beginning tomorrow. And in preparation for what they're doing, you can see the guy behind us. He's putting up a translucent film to further obscure what's going on inside. They've already got a reflective glass backing here. But they don't want anybody. They're so paranoid that people are going to get a glimpse of who is attending. They're going to put out an attendees list. We don't know if that's a real list or not. They could be telling us that people are coming who aren't coming. There's certainly going to be people that are going to be coming that they're not going to tell us about. And they don't want us to see any of this. So they're putting up temporary window films, as well as blocking the place off with concrete barriers, with metal barriers. It's essentially they're afraid of everything. What'd you say, Paul?
Yeah, it's an improvement on last year, though, because they built a wall entirely around the entire Grove Hotel, and then we were kept over a mile away from that. So, and of course, there was the anti-terror zone around the whole area, which gave them, in their own mind, complete right to completely violate everything that freedom's supposed to stand for. Right. But it's not as paranoid now as it was last night. Last night, it was like a feeding frenzy. They were just on everybody, even carrying a camera anywhere near the hotel. So, compared to last night, it's not as bad.
Well, I guess they looked at some of the press and decided maybe they wouldn't do that a second time.
Sure. Well, here's the bottom line. First, they didn't exist. We prove it exists. And now it's no big deal. They're not trying to hide anything. They are trying to hide stuff because there's illegal stuff going on. It's illegal in the U.S. Under multiple federal laws. It's illegal under British laws, the stuff that's going on there. It's illegal under EU laws. It's a big criminal globalist confab meeting. These are the people pushing to take our guns. These are the people trying to break our families up. These are the people that put the fluoride in the water. I'm going to overdrive, David, so you guys get out of there. So we're going to go to a 1-minute break on iPhones, shoot HD of them blacking out the windows. Then I'm going to come back live with you so you can get out of there under cover of live transmission. Overdrive at Infowars.com/show. Some stations don't carry this. GCN. Live from Bilderberg 2014. Our crew's doing a great job. We'll be right back.
Alex Jones.
Well, I just want to say, Paul Watson, David Knight, his wife who's there with him, doing a great job. Josh Owens doing a fabulous job. I sound frustrated sometimes. Just I'm here, like, giving orders from a drone camera, to a distant information warfare battlefield and wishing I was there. But I've got to sit here with all the balls in the air. But it's just great to see you guys doing what you're doing. Get more HD. Get a report out. I know you're tired. Oh, let's go to him. Here we go. Here's the security.
Okay.
Oh, we're on. We're live. Okay, then please don't film me, but you need to evacuate the area.
Okay. All right. We're leaving.
I didn't even know that happened. So that just started happening.
Yeah.
They looked pretty mad when they came over, huh?
Yeah. Yeah. All right. Have a good day.
Have a good day too, General.
Those guys are taking down your future too,
Well,
they're going to own the world. They're going to put us in free speech zones over there, but they're going to
Yeah, stay there. Don't walk off. The property line's there. Go back and talk to them.
Yeah, they got really good plans for you, let me tell you. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, he hopes they plan it really good. He has no idea what they got planned.
Okay, so you guys were already starting to leave, and then those guys ran out to confront you?
Yeah. Yeah. They were like, oh, who are you? You need to get out of here. So.
All right, David, great job, as I was saying. Just try to get more HD of everything. And I'd get an HD report out or a clip of them not letting you in, showing the barriers, showing them blacking out the windows. It's newsworthy that Bilderberg blacks out windows of hotel to stop press. That's the headline. That illustrates everything right there.
All right, we'll get that out. Yeah, it's pretty amazing. They've really locked this place down. As Paul said, though, it's kind of a ghost town compared to yesterday, I guess. We were delayed getting here, so we missed seeing all the action.
I'm having flashbacks of last year hanging out with Watson and McAdoo, Leanne.
Yeah.
Hey, Watson.
Get these guys.
Oh, call them over. Oh, more? Oh, yeah, putting the fence up.
Putting some more up. Yeah. They've already got a fence. This is the second fence.
I'm going to let you guys go, get HD of all of it, get a report out. I know you're exhausted, so do it tonight or tomorrow, whenever you want. And we'll have you back on live tomorrow at 11:30. So great job to the whole crew out there.
All right. Thanks, Alex.
All right, great job. Pray for those folks. So there we are. Exposing them, putting up a gates and wire and fences and free speech zones and police and blacking out the windows. Bilderberg 2014, it kicks off tomorrow, and I'm just so blessed that we have this media operation. I'm so blessed that themightydrudgereport.com links to our stories on this to help break the controlled media paradigm. And we're going to get HD of all of this and get a report out that will go mega viral of the Bilderberg group putting up fences and blacking out the windows to stop the press. Bilderberg blacks out windows of hotel to stop press from finding out who the attendees are. Boom. Sensational. Because they're meeting, we're exposing their global government, and then we'll expose all their policies, and that they're the authors of our discontent, of our Agenda 21 shutdown, of our cultural decline. They are the main progenitors, the main propulsion drivers. They are the problem. We have their documents. We have their own reports. We have ferreted it out. We have sources inside, and we're not going to stop. By the way, we fund this operation selling high-quality products, PrisonPlanet.tv memberships. We have Super Female Vitality now out that everybody has been asking for. You've heard the rave reviews from women that have tried it before it officially came out. We've got the new X2 Survival Shield Nascent Iodine. These will blow your socks off, in my view. We've got nothing but rave reviews, and these are just stronger versions of what was already out in a proprietary form. InfoWarsStore.com, InfoWarsLife.com. And you can also call toll-free 888-253-3139 and help fund with war bonds in the InfoWar, sending our reporters around the world to do what nobody else will do. There's no press out there. There's no protesters out there, but we're there reaching millions right now. This is what it's all about, and I thank God for it. Pray for this operation. Spread the word about this operation, and thank all our sponsors and affiliates.